Hello.
Hey,
How's it going? Not too
you got a
bad.
little mood lighting on.
I see that. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the blue walls just was too,
A little too plain. That's all right.
Yeah,
Oh, it looks
add a little
good.
zest to it. Anyways, so today, of course, we're finally, after so long of, talking shit about this guy, we're finally going to hear. No, we're finally going to address it, outright. Because just so people know, I don't really, in a sense, for my show, I just don't go out and debunk people. Some people do that.
Right.
That's friggin' all they do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's their thing, right?
Yeah. That's cool. My stuff, is different. Of course, as Corey knows, because I'm in a sense an axiologist and an anarchist and an atheist and a socialist. This all like groups me into certain kinds of thinking, desires, whatever. So my goal is not, in a sense, debunking Graham Hancock. What it is, to address those things like my anarchism. I like to address history, like when power happened, who did it, where it happened, what it was like, not like some big picture, fanciful, thing, but an actual gritty, get down to the details and figure this out kind of a situation that, as you know. So I think that though it really changes sort of, the focus, right? I'm going to say my anarchism. So my anarchism, every time I do history, I don't really have a history show.
Right.
I don't feel it that way. I don't feel that what we do is a history show. What I feel is we do a revolutionary show with leftist ideas. And because of that, I like to focus on history because that's how we know, what's going on.
Right.
So that people can become educated and get out of the fantasy that states like to build around themselves.
Yeah.
And then also the same thing with religion. I address prehistory because it has to do with religious topics. And being an atheist, I want to expose what the truth is, not in a sense teach atheism exactly, which we do a little tiny bit. But as you know, that's not what my show is not, of course, geared to that, teaching atheism per se. I like to do stuff in a roundabout way. I feel like we're, in a sense, teaching reason and good thinking. And then the result, I feel, should be leftism, should be socialism, anarchism, atheism. I just think that these are outcomes of taking the evidence as it's given, in a sense.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Well, that's probably why you and me click and we have a show. So.
Right. Yeah.
Because I had another gentleman who I started to try to do something like this, and he said he was a leftist, but the more I said my ideas and the more I heard him say his, the least I felt we were connected.
Right. Which, I mean, yeah, not all leftists see the world the same way, and and
not all people that use the word leftist are really, I don't know.
Yeah. Not all talking about the same
what
idea.
the fuck that word means or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I don't want to go into all that. But so I'm just making a comment that to anyone watching this, it's not like some people headhunt, people that make bullshit claims. Once in a while, I do this just because, like Armin just kept saying bullshit claims.
Right.
And yeah, it's not like I go out looking for it. It just shows on my timeline. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
And the same thing in a sense with Graham Hancock. I want to teach real history. That's what I like to do. I like to teach also, like I said, aspects that relate to anarchism, socialism, atheism, in that. And also, like, as you know, anti-racism. It's really big important to me because I grew up in Southern California. So I grew up, people don't realize my one little area I was in, a lot of my friends, if I took pictures, weren't going to be white people.
Right.
So a lot, like my first time I got stoned was 7 black dudes that I only knew, I think 1 or 2 of them, and we're in this room, and I'm the only white guy, and that's why my first time smoking a joint I'm talking about.
Right.
So I'm just saying some people's experiences are different than mine. So Like as a kid, I picked eggs with the migrant farm workers that were illegal.
Right.
You know, they pay you by the day. Anyways, and I drank beer. And first time I had tortillas just on an open fire with butter on top. Oh man, fucking good. Anyways, I'm saying my experience. So I have more of, and then of course my family. I have Hispanics in my family. I've been to Mexico and see my relatives in Mexico through marriage. I have, you know, ones that are Asian through my father. My stepbrothers are Asian. My sister married someone who has, you know, African American and Native American. My wife has some Native American. I'm just making a comment that my whole life is like this. Even though, my point is this: some people just look and see me white and see me big, tough white dude. They do, oh man, they understand everything about me. And
Right.
that actually may be completely inaccurate.
Yeah,
As you know, the more you learn about me, right, the more that probably the first assumption was inaccurate.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Right.
it's. I think it's a safe bet that generally people are more in depth than the surface level that we see on our first assumption. But
right, and the reason I want to bring this up is why I care about the racism stuff.
right.
And also, when I was a kid, there was a lot of fighting between Mexicans and black people in Southern California, in my school.
Okay.
Even I'm not talking about like it was some outside. I mean, I had friends. Like one time, just to give a really quick thing about my life, but one time I hung out with gang members. Just, I mean, it's Southern California, but anyway, so I hung out with gang members, Mexicans and black gang members, also other Asian, different. I hung out with everybody because I just was a bad kid, and anyone who would accept me in a sense, it was cool to me, you know. But I'm saying, so I didn't look it out. I just, yeah. Anyways, so one of them, who was Mexican, had a knife and was fighting a black guy that had nothing. And I told the black guy, pick up the trash can next to you. You'll have something to block a knife or whatever and actually fight back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, that didn't make my Mexican friends happy that I'm actually helping out, you know, the black people fight gang fights better in a sense. And
right.
I felt, well, I like both these people, you know.
Right. You're like, I don't want you to get stabbed.
So I'm just saying, so I'm just, I know, and I don't expect other people to understand or even fully appreciate how I was raised in a sense. It's hard. It's like, you know, being born in Regina, Saskatchewan, and me born in Long Beach, California, you know, which is, you know, part of LA.
They're pretty different experiences for sure.
Right. And then everything about my whole upbringing was, anyways, I don't want to go into all that. But so I just want to bring the racism stuff because one of the things that made Graham Hancock the most angry, supposedly, is that people think he's a racist. That's why I want to address this, because it's an issue that I really address a lot.
Right.
Or I try to, because it's really important. And what I would say, I told you before, I don't see him as like some full-on racist. But just because I'm not saying he's an explicit racist, that I don't feel like he's projecting implicit racist bias.
For sure.
Okay? So that's what I would say. When he got all mad and huff and puff with other guys like, oh, no, I'm not saying you're racist. I would have said that I see implicit bias.
Yeah.
And if you don't see it, just think of this. You said you looked at the whole world. That just hit his theory, right? Which, no evidence, but he looked at the whole world, saw artifacts being made all over the world, and assumed must be ancient white people, right? Who taught all indigenous people. Just think, don't even have to have facts. Just think about that.
Yeah.
Your conclusion after seeing indigenous stuff all over the world is that white people did it? And you don't think that's some white bias or Western bias or ethnocentric thinking of some kind, just to even postulate that? Now, if you could somehow build evidence that proved, and then that was not trying to reach it, but that's the evidence is projecting, that is a completely different thing than what he's got. Because Graham Hancock, in that same thing where he got mad about the racism thing, he literally said this. You see the blog? Open the blog. Where it says my favorite quote of Graham Hancock. It's in the blog, Graham. Just open it up, and it'll be the first thing you see. It should be.
The addressing Graham Hancock blog. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
My favorite Graham Hancock quote. In what archaeologists have studied, yes, we can say there is no evidence of an advanced civilization.
Right. And then, of course, that's the time is 1 hour and 27 minutes. The Joe Rogan Experience, number 2136.
Yeah.
Graham Hancock and Flint Dibble. I thought that was the absolute best statement that dude has ever made. Yes. Now shut the fuck up.
So, yeah, like, okay, so for this discussion, you wanted me to watch an episode of
I did.
Graham Hancock, and I watched 2.
I am impressed.
And I even made a few notes, and I was like,
"Oh, okay. please!" Then everybody says they want people that don't know. I've been asking Corey to read a book about the mound cultures, which we're going to do a video on, maybe even more than one, because it's so important. Right. It's about racism again.
Yeah.
Which of course ties to the Graham Hancock beliefs that are just like the book that we're going to read, and also racist. Anyways, but I had asked him also to watch video or the show, whatever, but at least one show or at least half an hour of the show or something, because I wanted him Corey to not go with Damien's evidence and my knowledge. So when he's talking things, I'm like, oh, right. Fuck, you know?
Yeah.
But just from your impression, if even someone who doesn't have like all the knowledge tied down, just listen to the guy.
Yeah.
What is, to me as a philosopher, and I want to address one thing I didn't agree with that was said to Graham. Flint Dibble said that people say Graham Hancock has the burden of proof. Yes, the fuck he does. And then he said, but I don't agree. I think that archaeology has the burden of proof. Well, if you're making claims, you also are a holder burden of proof. That's both right. Actually have the.
That's right.
See, this is what I think that people need to get philosophy. It's not like one-sided. Like he gets to have burden of proof obligations on archaeology, but has none on himself. Get the fuck out of here. No. It's literally just a fallacy right from the start. I don't even need to debunk it. You're already wrong. Done.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, but I wanted to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and tell us about your big adventure.
I watched the first episode 1 and 2 of Ancient Apocalypse, and I'm trying not to go in biased. I'm trying to go in as open-minded as as I should.
Right. Maybe he's amazing, right?
Well, maybe Damien is wrong. So I go in and I'm like, okay, I'll watch this. I watched one episode and then I did some work at work, and then I watched the second episode and went and did some work. And as I was walking around doing my job, I was making a few notes about what I was thinking. And so one of the top things that I noticed, obviously he does this all the fucking time, that he uses the words so-called, quote unquote, so-called experts all the time. Like in every episode. And then of course he says,
I didn't remember that, but thank you for bringing that up.
He constantly does that. And then of course he says like, he claims that experts reject, like this is of course kind of the fundamental core to what he's saying, right? Like is that experts reject what I'm saying, because if they don't, it destroys all of archaeology.
Yeah, that part is total nonsense. Let's assume that there was some ancient culture that taught people. Even that wouldn't destroy archaeology. We would then.
It would just add to it.
Yeah.
It would just add.
It
to
would
the
not remove that the pyramids were there, or I mean, yeah. But anyway, so
it would never destroy all of archaeology.
Yeah. Well, his thinking is if he's right, then archaeology, everything about it, not one issue. You already know it's catastrophizing. He's blowing it out of proportion.
That's right. He loves to use hyperbole.
Yeah.
And
which to me is a lot of logical fallacies, because he's not using evidence, and he even admitted that he doesn't have evidence. Which, by the way, to get that quote from him, Joe Rogan, I think, asked him 2 or 3 times. But at least 2 times. Wasn't just one time. Graham Hancock didn't just freely go, well, you know what? Yeah, you're right. He went, well, he goes, well, Graham, but you're not saying there's evidence, are you? And he's like, oh, no, yes, you're right. There isn't really evidence.
Yeah. And even this quote, like you say, like he has to hedge it, right? Like he says,
yes,
what archaeologists have studied.
right.
Meaning there's all this stuff that I could still be right if they looked at it.
Yeah,
Which
but,
is,
but like I said, what's crazy is he doesn't look at all the stuff that archaeology does know and somehow put it together. See, the difference between Graham Hancock and Damien puts together all the links of the stuff, explains reasons why it would be linked, and then shows it moving, and then all these things coming with it: the language,
right.
the pottery, the culture, the religion, the DNA.
Yeah.
Now, if Graham Hancock did that, then people would take his shit more seriously. But it's not. It's just like he says, there literally is fucking nothing.
Well, and that's what he's doing. Like that first episode, he's in. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the place that he was
Phnom
in.
Penh or something, I think.
Yes, that's right. And they're doing the seismographs so they can see underneath this structure, and he's using this, not like he's saying, oh, well, that's a cavern there, and this is a cavern here, and we don't know because they won't look. So it could be evidence of this ancient civilization that I'm claiming. Like, so the fact that you don't know cannot mean you know.
Well, it can't even be that that's a good explanation.
It can't.
You see what I'm saying? That doesn't, it's like supernatural. This, like, I heard, and I know about your show is different than mine.
Yeah.
I do like Justin. It's just once in a while he says things I don't agree with. When he says science can't address things or philosophy can address absolutely everything. Philosophy is the foundation of science.
Right.
So science, through the evidence and the reason, can absolutely address everything. I disagree with both scientists and, that statement, not him, Justin in particular, but that state, I disagree. I would do a debate against anyone that wants to come on here and try to prove to me that it's not the case. Because every time that you're trying to project it's not, you're just adding a fallacy. Just like I said, to me, saying, oh, only archaeologists have the burden of proof. I appreciate he's an archaeologist. Great. Obviously not a philosopher, because that is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to say that. Everyone has a burden of proof unless they are intellectually dishonest.
Yeah, that's right. Like if you're gonna make claims, then you do have to show.
And he doesn't just make random claims. He attacks archaeologists. He attacks fucking science. Yeah. And then he just says, oh, I don't have to prove nothing. Why? I thought, no. This is religion does this shit, right? All the time. That's another problem I have, is giving religion an out. I don't know anything about that book he talked about, or that guy he talked about, because I told you I really don't give a shit about what most people are fucking saying until I hear it and I go, no. But I think also, like in general, and I know he's a historian, but how much prehistory does he know? See, I know.
That's not his specialty. Yeah, that's not his specialty.
I'm not saying that I'm better than everybody in every part of history, but as a general rule, I know from millions of years all the way to like 4,000.
Yeah.
Like all the cultures, the whole world, you know what I'm saying? I grasp languages of the whole world and I mean, so it gives me a perspective that other people don't have.
Right.
And so when you say that science can't do you know how much information science has? I feel like that it's important when you say that science can't do something, that you know what it can do. It can fucking do a lot. In fact, it knows and does a lot more than people think.
Yeah, I think the thing with claims about believing in a soul or what have you, like that in particular, like there is no way, it's not a thing, right?
Well, but here's the point. The soul is something that the people say had a weight, right? Well, you can check that. That wasn't true. What I'm saying is, you're saying the architecture of questions is complicated. It is varied to get to the solution that science would, that this is wrong. What they don't understand is science does address God. It's a faulty presupposition, so it's not a valid hypothesis. So when you say science already did it hundreds of years ago, or at least 100 years ago, let's say that, when the reason really kicked in. But in a sense, every time, just think of this. So once again, just saying, people don't understand, just so people grasp. People, like, especially skeptics, because I feel like that they don't get enough into what the philosophy of science is to grasp what I'm saying. The skeptics like to say, or people that are religious too, oh, science is limited to the Socratic method, or it says it's limited to the scientific method, right? And the scientific method, basically, people don't realize, assumes a presupposition that the world follows logic. Does it not? Right.
Yeah.
So, in other words, things A, B, C, it can't be A, D, F, G, K. No. So even when they go, well, when it comes to, because I've heard this nonsense, when it comes to like particles and stuff, and quantum, yeah, but it's either a line or it's a dot. It's still very extremely limited.
Yeah.
Right? And they say, well, anything is possible. No, not wrong.
Yeah.
And they go, well, sometimes it does this, and when you look, then it does something. Then when you look, you're seeing that effect, meaning every time you do that, it's the same effect. It follows once again, logic.
Right. Yeah.
Just because you don't grasp it, just because science can't fully see a law is, like, in a sense, explaining what's happening, and then the theory explains why it's happening, in a sense. So
I think the mistake that religious people or people with supernatural beliefs make is saying that those things are real things. Like, like, it's okay to have an idea of, like, because the conception of a soul, like we have. We believe in the vibe, the spirit of music, or whatever.
And then under science, we would say, and when did magic get added to natural only evolution that we can prove?
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. Is
right. That's what I'm saying. You're offering, like Graham Hancock, you're offering something that it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's not valid. So anyways, I just want to say, also, I want to say is that with the Graham Hancock issue, I feel, like I said, is implicit bias. And I sent you a thing I want you to read. Implicit bias, also known as implicit prejudice.
Yes, also implicit bias, also known as implicit prejudice or implicit attitude, is a negative attitude of which one is not consciously aware against a specific social group. Implicit bias is thought to be shaped by experience and based on learned associations between particular qualities and social categories, including race and or gender. Individuals' perceptions and behaviors can be influenced by the implicit biases they hold, even if they are unaware they hold such biases. Implicit bias is an aspect of implicit social recognition, the phenomenon that perceptions, attitudes, and stereotypes can operate prior to conscious intention or endorsement.
Right, and I think that, like I said, I don't feel like Graham Hancock is like an explicit racist, but I do think that implicit bias is in his belief that the white people teaching everybody is a possibility. Yeah. One so strong, like he said, no evidence, but yet for 30 years has been fighting tooth and nail not to let die.
Yeah.
What the fuck? 30 years of no evidence, Corey. Would you really... Oh, well, there's religion. Never mind.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, we're back to that.
Yeah, I really the combination in the show, I really noticed, like, they use suspenseful music while he's saying inflammatory things.
Right.
So everything is made to frame as a revelation, a big boom. And then he goes, and if they studied this, it would destroy all of archaeology. If they studied this thing that they don't know, that I don't know, then it would prove what I'm claiming.
But you see what I'm saying too, is he's totally like the Bible cherry picking. It's like when people go, like someone said to me, Damien, I don't understand how you can be an atheist. I mean, I see God in a child's smile. And I said, does that mean when a child frowns that we're seeing the devil? I was like, this is just ludicrous.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
You're just putting something into it based on your own
Implicit bias.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
You're
inserting
yeah,
your beliefs
it goes
into
back to that.
That's right. That's
Seriously, to me, it just bink right back to it.
Yeah.
But so, in case people are confused, I want to explain real quick because read to you explicit versus implicit bias. When explicit bias, individuals are aware of their negative attitudes, prejudice towards a group of people, and may allow those attitudes to affect their behavior. And then implicit bias includes subconscious feelings, attitude, prejudice, stereotypes an individual has developed due to prior influences and imprints throughout their lives. Yeah. Well, yeah, just like I was saying, how my life is imprinted on me. I mean, my experience is very different, from what people would think it's going to be.
And I think because I interviewed an expert in implicit bias years ago, like 2015.
Oh, right on.
And because that was when it was kind of coming to the fore, there was implicit bias tests on a Harvard website or whatever, and you could say like, do you have a racial bias in your perspective? And the reactionaries were very much like, this is just saying everybody's racist and this and that and the other thing. And then when you talk to somebody who actually knows it, like, yes, we all have different biases in different aspects of things. Even every unconscious, like there's unconscious thoughts all the time that we're not tracking.
Absolutely. And so that's why I wanted to address that. I would not have just let him get off with, no, I don't think you're racist.
Right.
No way. If I was on that, I told you I won't go on the show because I feel like Joe Rogan promotes fucking Nazis, racists, transphobes, fucking, whatever. I mean,
no, he has some of the worst people on and makes excuses for them. So
and gives them a platform. So you know what I'm saying? Gives shit people a platform. No, I don't want to support that in any kind of way. Fuck no. But like I said, because I don't feel that Graham Hancock, even Joe Rogan, I would have Joe Rogan on my show if he wanted to be on my show. I know he doesn't want to, but I'm just saying, I don't think he himself, but boy, does he allow them to have a fucking platform to me.
Yeah.
Pieces of shit people. I mean, maybe he has a couple good people too. I'm not saying everyone who's ever on there is bad. I'm just saying that he certainly allows fucking trash to come on there, and I don't want to be associated. I don't give a fuck. My opinion too is I don't care if it made me famous. I don't. Right. I don't want fame more than I care about my value.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So, but anyway, so go ahead and tell us some more.
I think I've got just about all of it. The one specific thing that I saw was that he was claiming that there was a global flood, right? And he was basing that on myths from around the world that all have flood myths. And so he's taking these mythical beliefs that may very well be based on regional floods or regional events.
Or
and
like I told you,
that means that all of these things mean the global flood.
True. But like I told you, I do know that not a flood per se exactly, but these cultures have one big belief, all these mounds and everything, remember?
Right.
Have a connected belief of earth diver, diving in water, right? So flooded water. Yeah.
And then he doesn't address anything like that for sure.
Well, guess what? Almost all one of the most biggest connected themes beyond all the other stuff is actually that all these religions of the world, most of them have primordial waters in it. That everything starts with water, in a sense. Even the Bible supposedly does that when it says God flew over the water. There's a verse that says something like that, and
which actually isn't
that far off. Spirit of the Lord goes over the water, or something. What'd you say?
Which isn't. I was just going to say, which actually isn't that far off from some of the scientific explanations of the way that life did form on Earth, and
well, I know, but Earth is an interesting thing because Earth actually was molten for a long time, which would have evaporated relatively everything, and then sterilized the Earth like a doctor's office.
Right.
And so there would have been no fucking life, even if it already started. So that's how Earth started. We need to grasp reality.
Yeah, for sure.
Earth started
Yeah.
desolate, not
Yeah.
one fucking living thing, not even a bacteria would have been burnt to shit. Everything had been on fire and molten, and all the water was gone. So now we're a waterless, earthless, in a sense, no life, anything, Earth. And then what happened is the heavy bombardment period and all the asteroids and comets and stuff.
Yeah.
And so they can tell because the kind of stuff in comets or asteroids are different. One of them has heavy water, one of them doesn't, and the Earth doesn't have a lot of heavy water.
Right.
So that tells you which one it was.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it was
right.
comets, not, or maybe it was asteroids, not comets, because it has to do with the water. They can tell because there's only, I think, 10% of the Earth is heavy water, something like that. Don't quote me. I don't remember exactly, but
Sure.
so someone's like, "Oh no, it's 4.74." You know what? I don't know, but anyways,
Yeah.
I think that it was something like that, but it wasn't like, it's not all. Anyways, and they use heavy water in nuclear or something. I think it's so that's it's
Yeah, heavy water is a product of it comes in various things. Like actually, I deal with heavy water at my job.
oh,
a
you
lot.
do.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah. So,
But so you know what I'm talking about. All I'm saying is because of that, so that's what we don't have a lot of heavy water.
yeah,
So the point is, I'm saying that's actually one of the things we got. Because the reason I bring this up is because the creationists know this, and they try to argue. I argue on the street. In fact, there's a video with Ray Comfort asking me how there was water on the Earth, and I fucking explain it to him. And then it's so funny in his video. Then he cuts to a scientist saying exactly what I said, or very close to what I said. And I thought, wow. This one guy goes, "Man, you were on one of Ray Comfort's videos, and it actually makes you look good." And I was like, "Well, I don't know that what I ever say generally can make me look bad unless they absolutely took me out of context."
right.
Because sometimes I'll say fucking stupid shit, but I'm, what do you call it,
Which
mimicking
is
people or
that is the tendency of Ray Comfort is to try and take people out of context to make them look bad. But
right. I was like, that's what he was like. Wow, man, he actually, like, you said something, and then usually he goes like, "Ha ha, you're wrong." He showed this other guy says that's what happened.
yeah.
Anyways,
But yeah,
it's amazing the shit you have to learn. But once again, just to debunk people. But I wasn't, in a sense, I was walking and holding signs at the pier, and then he came over and talked to me. But anyways, yeah. But so I want to go into the Graham Hancock. So you got this is like a spiel or whatever. So let's read a little bit about Graham, this stuff, right? So I feel that we need to vehemently fight against pseudoarchaeology because, like I told you, how I got to really get into the Graham Hancock stuff was not because I looked into him. I never cared. It's that I told you, someone told me about Graham. Oh, you got to check out Graham Hancock because the stuff he talks about. And so I never watched or read anything. I just went to a Google search and it came up pseudoarchaeology. I just read a few things. Oh, okay, I'm done. I was like, yeah, fuck that guy. I didn't even look into it. Right. So that's how I kind of knew about him. But when John's like, oh, he's got multiple books, I'm like, fuck, I thought I had one book. What? But that's what I'm saying is because I didn't give it. Once I knew what he was, it's like if you told me, well, Greg Comfort is a street preacher. Do you think I go look up on him? No.
Right. Yeah, I'm not interested in what he has to say. So
right. I don't go read his books. Do you see what I'm saying? Fuck no. So I'm just saying that's my attitude at first was like, stupid fuck talking shit. Fuck. Well, that's religious, does that all the time. So I was like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
So I just went on with my business and kept doing my thing, finding real shit, not worrying about him. Fuck all. Yeah. And then, like I told you, people, because I share things that he talks about, people, oh yeah, he talks about this. He explains it all. And so then, like I said, that irritated me. But really, it was like I told you when someone said, Damien, a leftist said this and an atheist said this to me. Damien, we don't have to trust science. They're not exact words, but in a sense, I'm just saying they didn't like copy each other's words, but I'm just meant that the theme of what they're both saying. We don't have to trust science. Graham Hancock proves it that science is untrustable. Now that to me,
what method did he use to prove that? He didn't.
You use fallacy, which you
Yeah,
believe.
that's
It's
right.
fucking sad, but
Yeah.
and no evidence, obviously, is he even fucking admits. So he doesn't actually prove. And then whatever he does when he goes, oh, the Clovis thing, yeah. And other archaeologists address that, not you.
Yeah.
You are just saying, oh, those archaeologists didn't like it, and other archaeologists had to fight, and then finally other archaeologists overturned it. Yeah, sounds like archaeologists are willing to fight and overturn things. I mean, see, you say his same stuff and explain it differently.
Yeah.
It sounds better. He makes it sound like, ominous and like a cabal is. No, buddy, I don't have a conspiracy belief, but I think that archaeologists are trying to hide something. That is a conspiracy belief.
Literally a conspiracy.
Hello.
Yeah.
Once again, like Armin, do people need to learn what the fuck words mean?
Yeah, I guess so, eh?
Yeah.
They just use whatever that is.
Yeah.
Make it mean whatever you want.
And so, in a world of Hancock supporting evidence-lacking claims, be a John Hoops, supporting what evidence explains. That's my little poem. Anyways, so I want you to read Burden of Proof Philosophy.
Okay.
Because obviously, even though I've already addressed it, because it was openly stated in a debate, archaeology person against Graham Hancock, that it's not important. I just want to reread what it is so we can see it is important.
Yeah. So, burden of proof philosophy. When you make a claim, you hold the burden of proof. This means that you must present valid and reliable reasons as well as evidence to support your claim. It is not on others to believe you, but rather you have to make a sound connection that is convincing to others. Who do you think should win, the truth or one of our ego? Let reason win. Are you actually intellectually honest?
Right. Click on that real quick, just because I know I say it a lot, but I know maybe I don't explain it enough. Or
Sure. So it says intellectual honesty is honesty in the acquisition, analysis, and transmission of ideas. A person is being intellectually honest when they, knowing the truth, state that truth. Intellectual honesty pertains to any communication intended to inform or persuade. Okay,
so we know it's addressing Graham Hancock has to be involved, because you would say any communication that does what?
Inform, persuade, right? Yeah, inform or persuade.
He believes he is doing both, informing you that they're wrong and persuading you that they're wrong, and that he's right. Literally, he's involved in this. So not only does the philosophy say he has the burden of proof, intellectual honesty, just basic, what they call it, fair play, good reason, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Right.
Also says that because, see, if he just said it's his personal belief, walked around, thought that white people taught everyone, everybody would go, stay away from that dude.
Right.
But because he is trying to persuade and supposedly he's misinforming, supposedly informing people, that he absolutely has the burden of, in a sense, of intellectual honesty.
Yeah.
And I feel if by looking at what he does, guess what? In my opinion, he's failed.
Yeah, that's right. Like, he knows there's no evidence to support his ideas, and yet he can persist in claiming that they are true and that they're being suppressed.
Right. So let's keep reading burden of proof. Let's go back, because you got to click the back button.
So the burden of proof, or Latin onus probandi, shortened from the onus probandi incumbent et ea qui deceit, so on and so forth. The burden of proof lies with the one who speaks, not with the one who denies. Is the obligation on a party to dispute?
So if Graham Hancock is the one speaking about what it is he's thinking, me trying to not believe it, I don't have to do anything. Of course, I do agree that archaeologists, since they are also making claims and trying to transmit ideas and, persuade with the evidence, that they too have a burden of proof.
And that's the point of archaeology, right? Is that they provide that proof.
and here's the difference, though, that we saw an archaeologist accept the burden of proof as a reasoned, intellectually honest thinker.
Yeah.
Graham Hancock, if he is a reasonable and honest thinker, should absolutely do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Or what is Graham Hancock trying to hide?
That's right. It's
right.
Well, we know what he's trying to hide. It's the fact that he's not telling the truth.
Right. So I'm just saying is, but I feel this is really important. I feel like it was just blown off and like, oh, fuck no, you have a burden of proof. Hell yeah. Imagine any science you go and you don't have a burden of proof.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's like all we talked about before in our thing on pseudoscience and pseudoarchaeology, pseudojournalism, whatever, about people putting out, articles that were fucked up and they got retracted, right?
Yeah.
And then here's the other thing too. It's not like that they just hate each other.
Right.
And so that's why they get retracted, as if somehow it's just like Graham Hancock seems to imply a lot of times, like somehow archaeology is just these emotional people trying to, look the best or become, the next Indiana Jones or some bullshit. I mean, it's just, It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? So he hasn't, once again, to me, towards archaeologists, an implicit bias.
Yeah.
That implicit bias is like a caricature archaeologist, probably from the 20s, that goes and basically almost tomb robs or some, an antiquarian or whatever they used to call him. Because before anthropology, I think it was called antiquarians. Right. And so, but those people didn't really know what they were doing, had all kinds of their own bias. Some people even believed that, the Bible was true, So they, just like Graham Hancock, you go and try to prove things by using the Bible, and anything it doesn't prove the Bible, you kind of just ignore, and or you try to, like Graham, it's a different time maybe, or a different place, or different, you basically bullshit your way into that. There's some reason that even though it doesn't seem to support your position must be demanded to stay the
same. That's right. We must maintain this thing no matter what. But
right. So let's leave some more.
All right. So the holder of the burden, when two parties are in a discussion and one makes a claim that the other disputes, the one who makes a claim typically has a burden of proof to justify or substantiate that claim, especially when it challenges a perceived status quo. This is also stated in Hitchens' Razor, which declares that what may be asserted without evidence may be dismissed without evidence. Carl Sagan proposed a related criterion: extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, which is known as the Sagan standard.
Which I think actually both those are reasonable and go back to the burden of proof and intellectual honesty in general. If you're intellectual honest, you should desire, just like I know a lot. And I told you, when someone tells me or thinks that I'm wrong, sometimes I don't even get mad at any kind of way. I go, interesting. And I go look even more.
Right.
Because I want, And so
I think sometimes this can be used by people like Sam Harris does this, I think, where he'll insist that he needs a basic fundamental fact that is basically just a known thing, like implicit bias exists.
Right.
And he'll say, you have to prove that to me. Or he'll, which happen, it'll happen on the internet a lot, where you'll say a thing and some dude just comes in and says, prove it, as though he's not interested in you proving it. He's interested in, being a troll, essentially. But that goes back to intellectual honesty. Just like I told you before, even in my video, I have 3 videos about teaching atheism. Right.
In a sense. But the first one, actually, I tell people the first thing you need to do is figure out your own self. You need to figure out, why do you want to be involved in atheist activism?
Yeah.
Not just go do it. Why do you want to be involved? What do you think you can offer? What do you think is going on? What is your goals? Because to me, you got to grasp the value, because then that may change how you behave.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw myself. I realized, because at first I thought it was just go out there and just be give the, in a sense, religious people a hard time. I
Right.
wasn't exactly having like a major goal.
That's
Just
where
pissed,
most of us started, I think.
just kind of pissed, really,
Yeah.
and wanted to tell the world to go fuck off, kind of and that's how I also, in a sense, when I first started my anarchism, was I didn't even realize I was a socialist. I understood the whole power structure was so fucked, and so anyways, my point is, but I was kind of, like, oh, you're angry or whatever. I was angry when you realize that this whole system is made to fuck you. I don't know. That does kind of make you fucking pissed.
It's reasonable to be angry.
Yeah, like, oh, those kids want to be anarchists because they're pissed. Yeah, that is actually, I see a reason and response. Now, like I said, my anarchism isn't like somehow limited to that at all.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, same with my atheism. It's not limited to that. But here's the thing too. It's slanderous to act like somehow when you realize you've been a slave your whole life and everyone wanted to keep you a slave, and that you actually have human rights and they don't want to give them to you, and that pisses you the fuck off. Yeah. I mean,
that's a normal response.
I'm just making a comment so that they act like Graham Hancock, act like something is like terrible. Like when an archaeologist finds his stuff offensive, that's reasonable. His shit is offensive.
The thing I like, in my observation, it's not because archaeologists just don't go into a discussion with Graham Hancock saying, prove it. They go in saying, well, you're making this claim and it contradicts this evidence that we have that says this. So where do you have evidence that tells us the truth of your situation and that we have this wrong over here? And
I agree. I've not had massively negative experiences with archaeologists. In fact, the exact opposite.
Yeah, I find them to be quite intellectually honest and quite curious about whether or not they're right or wrong.
I totally agree, which actually makes me trust them more.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, but if you listen to Graham Hancock, they shouldn't be trusted. It's like, dude, I've met a bunch of them. They're really cool, and a whole bunch of them I've met too are leftists, or at least care about human rights and about indigenous rights, and way more than the general public. I mean, fucking way more. They have way less. I'm not saying they don't have any implicit bias, but they obviously have way more knowledge and awareness of like indigenous issues. And here's the other thing too. A lot of them people like Graham Hancock, in their past they were racist and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
In the past.
And
science was racist. That doesn't mean we don't use science.
And honest people who in those fields own that. They own that. They'll say, yes, we were wrong about race science. Yes, we were wrong about the indigenous cultures. Yes, we were wrong about this.
Right. Right. Update. What I told you before, to me, that what makes me trust anyone is when I hear them update their thinking a lot or being willing to be wrong. If I hear you like Donald Trump, let's just say, even if I didn't know anything, the fact he says he is never wrong, immediately I stop trusting him. Just that. Anyways, so let's go back to the reading.
Okay. So while certain kinds of arguments, such as logical syllogisms, require mathematical or strictly logical proofs, the standard for evidence to meet the burden of proof is usually determined by context and community standards and conventions. Philosophical debate can devolve into arguing about who has the burden of proof about a particular claim. This has been described as burden tennis or the onus game. Shifting the burden of proof. One way in which one would attempt to shift the burden of proof is by committing a logical fallacy known as the argument from ignorance. It occurs.
What Graham does, right?
This is literally what he does.
Literally.
Yeah. It occurs when either a proposition is assumed to be true because it has not yet been proven false, or a proposition is assumed to be false because it has not yet been proven true.
He assumes his position is true because supposedly we haven't found evidence that it's not true. Yeah. Even though we have lots of evidence it's not true. So
he even takes it an extra step.
Lots.
Yeah, he takes it that extra step. He goes, okay, not only have I not been proven true, but that makes me true, but also archaeology has been proven true, therefore it's false.
Yeah.
Like he's contradicting known facts.
Which, if you listen to enough of it and it's back and forth, you know it's in a sense an intellectually dishonest mind.
Yeah.
So when they say, is he a shill or whatever, I know that his behavior is obviously intellectually dishonest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what the question of values is why is that being promoted? And I would say truly, I don't know. I would think since he's a millionaire, maybe it's money, but if it was that, wouldn't he just sit on his money and not keep I don't know. Or how about this? What would be more amazing, really? In a money's point for me, if I was, of course, about manipulating people, was actually now to fucking change.
Yeah.
Graham Hancock changed and then supported science, dude. He would be fucking world famous as hell.
For sure.
Holy shit, would he be famous? It would be like a nuclear bomb for his fucking ego would go off because it would be unlimited. I'm serious. At 30 years of fighting it, Graham Hancock realizes that science is right. His ideas were false, built on implicit bias through the culture and then his own study of racist people's ideas. Yeah, inspired his implicit bias to think, oh, this has to be it or whatever. And then if he changed until, oh my gosh, he would be at conventions. He could go to all the archaeology things. They'd be the poster boy. Seriously.
Yep, for sure. But he's got something wrapped up in this, right? Like whether it's the money or the ego or like just some kind of ideological drive. He's got something.
Well, he's also religious, so he's the spiritual non-religious, so the animism,
right?
So, quit making all kinds of fancy words, thinking, So, but anyways, once again, even though people don't have to call themselves animism, I think it's just an explanation, so it doesn't.
Right.
I mean, it's like saying that well, I don't use logic. Sure, you do.
Yeah. Maybe you don't use it intentionally or well.
There you go. Or when it should be used.
But you definitely use it. Yeah.
Right. Or you definitely even value it. Certainly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So yes, you do. Anyways, it goes back to my thing about once you understand value, sometimes people make statements and you understand value, you're like, yeah, that's not possible. Nope.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I don't like morality. No, you do. You just don't like to have to do it with other people. But you like it.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, so it'd be cool if I came up and just started beating the fuck out of you and then fucking.
So you do like morality.
Oh, so you do like morality. You do want other people not to just randomly harm you, to come in, and rob your house every night, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm just making a comment. So I'd say, to me, once you understand value, that yes, people, once again, that same way, because I understand value, I feel it's easier to grasp how you could debunk someone. Because you see they're talking and they have no value. They just made this shit. They're literally explaining air, nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever. So go ahead and read the more.
Sure. Proving a negative.
This is in a sense what I feel that I try to do a lot and try to help understand. That's also, I think, that the problem, like skeptics, some of them in the skeptic community, people have told me, Damien, everyone knows you can't prove a negative. And I go, no logic person has ever said that.
Right.
Ever. So you're wrong. But I know you a lot of, and I'm not saying that, they aren't right on some other stuff. It's not like everything, skeptics in the atheist community say is wrong, but this is fucking wrong.
Well, it's one of those superficial analyses that came about with like proving someone didn't do a thing or whatever, right?
Which we do in court all the time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But okay. So you don't believe in that, but you do believe in the legal system. Yeah, definitely. Oh well, there's a contradiction.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, so let's do proving a negative.
Sure. A negative claim is the opposite of an affirmative or positive claim. It asserts the non-existence or exclusion of something. Logicians and philosophers of logic reject the notion that it is intrinsically impossible to prove negative claims. Philosophers Stephen D. Hale and Stephen Law state that the phrase "you cannot prove a negative" is itself a negative claim that would not be true if it could be proven true.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you get that? It's like an
Yeah.
internal contradiction, right?
Yeah, for
Which
sure.
just goes back to pragmatics, like I told you. It's the pragmatic theory of truth. They're using some pragmatic thing, but then they're not going to the next step of truth, and that is to test everything with coherence theory of truth.
Right.
Even if you don't know any of the facts, it has to make sense, coherent, what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because then to me, then the next stage of truth is where you talk about evidence. So one is that how you make theories, like say that you understand like axiology is good, even if you had no information, because it's a way of putting stuff always in its value and then assessing it.
Right.
It aids in thinking, like, what should I do? Well, what's the values involved? Because see, a lot of times it's not like one thing is 100% value, the other thing is nothing. No,
Right.
sometimes it's 80 and 90, and you're like, you know what I'm saying? But my point is, I'm saying, but you can still make the value decision.
Yeah.
Not like every value decision is even easy or comfortable, but you can grasp more the delicateness, just like science. So you demand a burden of proof to how you think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah. So negative claims can be rewritten into logically equivalent positive claims. For example, no Jewish person was at the party is logically equivalent to everyone at the party was a Gentile. In formal logic and mathematics, the negation of a proposition can be proven using procedures such as modus tollens and reductio ad absurdum.
Which I like reductio ad absurdum a lot. It's like a lot of times, when I go, even if we agree with everything you say because of this, it's still wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. When I don't know if you remember in mid 2010s, like right before Trump was in office, there was a lot of debate about college students and like allowing anybody to speak no matter what they were saying on college campuses. And I always would come up with like, so you're like in the skeptic sphere, right? You're like, they're like, oh, well, you got to let the right wingers talk. You got to let the bell curve guy talk. And I always said, well, so then we got to let creationists talk. We got to let, global flood myth people say their piece. We got to do this.
All the flat earthers.
The flat earthers get a say.
The moon is a hologram, people, because believe me, if you go look at it,
right.
Moon is a hologram on YouTube.
Oh, you're just doing reductio ad absurdum. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you see? No, we don't have to just let everybody speak at college campuses.
Well, and also, if let's just say our goal is human rights. So are we going to let someone come on campus and say human rights do not matter?
Exactly.
Literally, is that not a violation of human rights?
Exactly.
Once again, about values. So to me, people talk about the dumb shit. I just go, oh, fuck. Do you understand axiology and value things? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's not, like I said, it's not that you have made a hard decision. And I told you, it's not like I'm saying that every axiologist is have no implicit bias. Of course, they're going to have biases. What axiology does, and an intellectual honesty, is that you check the biases, or you try to.
Right.
And you try to, like you said at the beginning, is try to remain neutral in a sense. That is a good attitude.
Yeah.
Try to.
As clean as possible.
Right. So no.
Yeah.
And anyway, so yeah. So of course, I fucking do not believe just anybody can speak and whatever. No.
Yeah. No. There's lines, right? Like you don't let Nazis.
For me, there's sure fucking. But I'm an axiologist. Everything's values. Of course, there's going to be lines. Some things are fucking harmful to value. Holy fucking shit. So no way.
Yeah, exactly.
Anti-trans science wants to come and do the kind of college. Fuck you. How about that? Fuck no. But here's another thing too. Speaking of our next video is going to be from the river to the sea, not well, because I want to address that, just people know.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, not because I really wanted to do another video that addresses Palestine and Israel and all. It's just that when I hear people say certain things, and I know, like Graham Hancock, when I know it is fucking wrong, and the way it's being explained is bigoted, one-sided, bullshit, then I feel, since I know that what the fucking truth is, I can't just, oh, well, let it go. I know no one else knows the truth. I know the truth. And here I didn't say anything. So anyways, right. I'm going to interrupt that. I wanted to address more prehistory before we get to the Americas. So we understand mound cultures and also totemism, and then clans and, lineages and kinship and how that relates to power, and because families get power and clans become kings, and it's just the highest clan is the king. Anyway, so I want to address, shit I care about. Well, it's not that I don't care about Palestine. What I'm saying is that I already had videos I want to do.
Yeah.
It's just that this came up, and they're saying, these college kids are somehow anti-Semitic for saying the river of to the sea. And I'm like, there's like 4 Bible verses that almost list that. Right. Then here's another thing. That actually was pre-Israel a Zionist statement.
Right.
So no Israel even there. Already Zionists are using, but it's in the Bible. So, and I'm saying it's in the Bible. Once again, like I'm saying is, so literally saying it's anti-Semitic is really fucking ridiculous, since literally it's from the Bible. So, of course, is the Bible anti-Semitic? And it's a Zionist thing. So is Zionism anti-Semitic? Well, I would say could be. But anyway,
yeah, sure.
Speaking of that, but anyways, so to me, I wanted to address this, and I know that I want to address it right here now because we just thought of it and reminded me we did the video, and also because it's racism stuff. I feel like, or questioning racism, which is kind of the Graham Hancock thing. I wanted to address of how he got all big uppity about how no one call him a racist, how does that think that feel? I don't know. How do you think indigenous people hear you say it's white people that fucking did it, not their ancestors?
Right.
I don't know. Your little white privilege, and then other people's whole, and already been subjugated and colonized and are constantly put down and abused. You know what? Value-wise, your white feelings are bullshit compared to the indigenous people.
Yeah.
How about this too? There's one of you, right? One white person with an opinion. Fuck tons of millions of people that are indigenous that you're fucking over. That's a lot of people, right?
Yep.
So if we weigh outrage, I think it's the million people who are indigenous being told, fuck you. It was not your ancestors who actually came up with shit. You guys are dumb fucks. Yeah. What happened is ancient white people who were smarter than the brown people came and fucking gave it to your thing, and then you were able to do it because you couldn't have done it by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
of course. Yeah.
Who the fuck is more harmed? Who is more right to be outraged? I mean, I just watching Graham Hancock go, this guy's like a fucking clown. Seriously. Yeah. We should put a fucking red nose on you, Graham Hancock, and a fucking little fucking, thing so you can paint your fucking face because you're a fucking clown. If you think your bullshit opinion of that someone could call you racist because you say racist shit, but all the indigenous, millions of them, who could be offended deeply, fuck them, right? Whose offense is more important? Anyways, talking about value. I'll go back to the thing about Israel. So who has more, like I told you before? I'm totally against what happened on October 7th, and I feel it's terrorism. And I told you I feel like Hamas is terrorists. And guess who also I think is terrorists? The Israeli government. And the military is Israeli. And, so, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zionists are terrorists. I mean, Islamic fucking fundamentalists are terrorists. What the fuck? The ones that are doing that shit.
Yeah. People who are terrorists are terrorists.
Terrorists are terrorists. I mean, and they're both terrorists. I mean, what the fuck? You're saying one is, and so is the other one.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, I tend to think
value-wise, currently, how much value is the 1,000 people in the 40,000 people?
Yeah,
this is right. Fucking value-wise. That's why. How come you care so much? Not just me, but all the college kids. I don't know. I think they're axiologically grasping this is more value than this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're looking at, like you say, 40,000 people
against 1,000.
2 million people displaced. Like,
so yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm against anti-Semitism. I just see it as racism. They don't give like special words to me or like a big deal. Anti-Semitism, like it's some special kind. It's fucking racism to me.
I don't want to dismiss it entirely because there are different types of racism and
there's different types of racism, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's not like it's its own category.
Yeah,
like somehow Jews and the whole history of all other people that are being done against. They have their own category no one else has. Well, really, if we look at the history of the world, I don't know, we should have one for black people then. Because holy fuck, have they not been fucking persecuted? Yeah.
Yep.
No Native Americans. I mean, I'm just...
Yep.
Anyways.
For sure.
My point is, I'm just saying axiologically, I see the value, which I told you. So sometimes words and things don't mean to me what they mean to other people because I'm looking at the value. And the value outside of that word is it's all racism that I'm addressing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not some special thing,
Even the ethnicism that you see in Africa between different quote unquote ethnicities, I call that racism.
Right. Yes, I agree with you. Anyways, I'm just saying. So. And to me, also, people don't grasp. It's not just like one kind. Like racism is just one thing, all explicit, like we talked about. There's also implicit. There's also internalized racism. Even people that are of a certain race that's being picked on, and that they hold the prejudice against themselves as that race. In fact, I remember this from this one Mexican guy that I was teaching truck driving, right? And I used to make my beard like really, into a point, whatever, and with hairspray. And then he started doing that to his beard. He tried to, And I said, "Oh, I trying to be like me." And he goes, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, all right, cool." And he goes, "I want to be an American." And I said, "You are an American. He's a legal citizen." He's like, "Yeah, but I want to be a white guy." And I went, "See, that's not good."
That's not good.
You know what I'm saying? It made me feel sad inside, like, oh.
Yeah. You want to be white because we've destroyed your own opinion of your culture and your background. But
yeah, so here's another thing. Just because every single indigenous person is not attacking you, Graham, doesn't mean you're not doing harm to me.
Yeah.
That those ideas are fucking harmful and they're wrong anyways.
Yeah.
And as you admit, there's no fucking evidence. So there's no evidence to be slandering the indigenous people.
Yeah.
But hey, it's not racism, and it's certainly bad to call Graham Hancock a racist.
It's back to that same idea. Like people, they think of being called racist as an insult rather than like an observation of their behavior and the effect that it has.
Absolutely. Right. Good point. Yes. So let's go. What's that?
They say, "Quit calling me names." I'm not calling you names.
Quit thinking the way that you are. Thinking it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Let's read intellectual honesty.
All right. Accurate communicating true beliefs. We have a moral duty to be honest. This duty is especially important when we share ideas that can inform or persuade others. Intellectual honesty is honesty in the acquisition, analysis, and transmission of ideas. A person is being intellectually honest when they, knowing the truth, state that truth. Intellectual honesty combines good faith with primary motivation towards seeking true beliefs. Intellectual honesty is an accurate communication of true beliefs. Intellectual honesty pertains to any communication intended to inform or persuade. This includes all forms of scholarship, consequential conversation such as dialogue, debate, negotiations, product and service descriptions, various forms of persuasion and public communication, such as announcements, speeches, lectures, instruction, presentations, publications, declarations, briefings, news releases, policy statements, reports, religious instructions, social media posts, and journalism.
So does Graham connected to any of that?
At least one or two, right?
Probably quite a few of those, right?
It kind of covers the whole gamut of like communication on any kind of forum. So
right?
I'm pretty sure he's out there, yeah.
So literally, he does have the burden of proof. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's right.
He can't get out of it, especially, like I said, unless you're going to accept that he is being intellectually dishonest.
Right.
Which I feel is already occurring.
Yeah.
But,
well,
the first step in healing, Graham, is admitting the truth.
Because he rejects the burden of proof.
Oh, fuck yeah. He feels it's other, he shifts the burden of truth. They have to disprove me. Otherwise, I'm right.
Exactly. Yeah, that definitely intellectually dishonest.
Yeah.
So.
Fuck no. Yep. So let's read some more.
Sure. It says it encompasses not only written and spoken prose, but also visual aids such as graphs, photographs, diagrams, and other expressive mediums.
Which he also does, right? He does videos, he does graphs, he does things.
Books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Intellectual honesty is an applied method of problem solving, characterized by an unbiased, honest attitude, which can be demonstrated in a number of different ways, including ensuring support for chosen ideologies does not interfere with the pursuit of truth.
Which we know that right there, he already failed there. So next, some other ones he failed in.
Relevant facts and information are not purposefully omitted, even when such things may contradict one's hypothesis.
Okay, he failed that again. Okay, so we're racking them up 2 for 2. Let's look at another thing he does wrong.
Facts are presented in an unbiased manner and not twisted to give misleading impressions or to support one view over another.
We know that's an absolute fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, his entire that entire show is based in that.
Literally, is all these things done the wrong way.
Yeah. And then references or earlier work are acknowledged where possible, and plagiarism is avoided. I don't know. He maybe.
Yeah, I would say if you listen to some of the things that John Hoops says about Graham Hancock stuff, it certainly sounds a lot like he's just took other people's ideas from like 100 years ago that were racist and bigoted. You know, like
so he is doing plagiarism then,
and kind of doesn't say, oh, this is where he does go. I read them, but that's not where I got my idea.
Are you sure?
How come it almost sounds exactly the same and they're equally racist, but you just say, well, you're not a racist.
Right.
So you're not a racist, but you chose to favor racist conclusions that are unsupported.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a non-racist. In fact, maybe he's an anti-racist. Yeah, I doubt it.
Suspect not. Yeah.
Well, because if he was, he would certainly check his stuff a lot harder, right?
Yeah.
And if he didn't have proof that white people ruled the earth, you wouldn't say that.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead, Harvard.
Yeah. Harvard ethicist Louis M. Guénin describes the kernel of intellectual honesty to be a virtuous disposition to eschew deception when given an incentive for deception. Intentionally committed fallacies and deception in debates and reasoning are called intellectual dishonesty.
Right. So what do we call Graham?
I would say
a person of intellectual dishonesty.
That's right.
That's what I would say. Yeah, that's that, and I've explained why that's valid. Go ahead.
Yeah. We have a moral duty to be honest. This duty is especially important when we share ideas that can inform or persuade others.
Yeah. Go ahead and keep reading.
So next section is I like learning prehistory. I also hate pseudoscience, pseudo-history, and pseudo-morality. So yeah, history is fun, but one must weed through the sometimes added mythology, half-truths, or outright lies. This is even more important when reading religion-related information.
Yeah. And then here's the Graham Hancock picture. I looked at it, and so I figured it out.
The cat on the broken bench.
Right. Like as if somehow the cat broke the bench.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
He was obviously, I mean, he's a pretty
Hefty
thick
cat.
kitty. Pretty thick kitty. Although
But
a stone bench.
But all I was trying to say, without science, like Graham, without archaeological science, just looking at stuff, having no other reference, you're going to come up with a fucking wrong interpretation and think you're right, and you're not.
Yeah, that's right.
So then read the next thing that I wrote.
We humans like patterns. We see them even when not really there, such as when correlation does not equal causation.
Right. And so I want you to read, we're going to watch some of that video, but I want you to skip down and just read a little bit about pseudoarchaeology and a little bit about Graham Hancock and about his apocalypse, and then we'll do the video.
Okay.
Just so that way, before we do the video, because what I want to do is I want to pay like almost an hour of the video because it's so good, because he uses actual clips of Graham saying stuff. He makes a comment. After he makes a comment, I want to stop it and then us make a comment also.
Okay.
About what's being done or said, because he's doing good, but he's still a historian in a sense doing it. I'm more of a philosopher, so I want to, and then you have your other stuff from how you see stuff as a skeptic or whatever. I want, we can both go, oh, well, that's good or bad. So I want to do the video, but I want to comment on the stuff, not just watch his comment. I mean, I like what he says. It does, but I think we can also add an important stuff to it. But I want to read about this and pseudoarchaeology, just so people are on the same page with us, like what we're talking about.
Okay. Pseudoarchaeology, also known as alternative archaeology, fringe archaeology, fantastic archaeology, cult archaeology, and spooky archaeology, is the interpretation of the past from outside the archaeological science community, which rejects the accepted data gathering and analytical methods of the discipline. These pseudoscientific interpretations involve the use of artifacts, sites, or materials to construct scientifically insubstantial theories to supplement the pseudoarchaeologist's claims. Methods include exaggeration of evidence, dramatic or romanticized conclusions, use of fallacy, and fabrication of evidence. There is no unified pseudoarchaeological theory or approach, but rather many different interpretations of the past that are jointly at odds with those developed by the scientific community. These include religious approaches, such as creationism or creation science, that applies to the archaeology of historic periods, such as those that would have included the Tower of Babel, Noah's Ark, and the Genesis flood narrative, and the supposed worldwide flood myth. Some pseudoarchaeological theories revolve around the idea that prehistoric and ancient human societies were aided in their development by intelligent extraterrestrial life, an idea propagated by those such as Italian author Peter Colosimo. Yeah. French authors Louis Pauwels and Jacques Bergier in The Morning of the Magicians, 1963, and Swiss author Eric von Daniken in Chariots of the Gods, 1968. Others instead hold that there were human societies in the ancient period that were significantly technologically advanced, such as Atlantis, and this idea has been propagated by figures like Graham Hancock in his Fingerprints of the Gods, 1995. Pseudoarchaeology has also been manifest in Mayanism in the 2012 phenomenon.
Where it says
many, down to here. Yeah, here we go.
Many
I was just reading the screenshot. So
oh yeah. Well, yes, you're correct. The screenshot. I just wanted people to see that when you look at just pseudoarchaeology on Wikipedia, Graham Hancock's picture comes up.
Right.
So I was just showing that it's not like somehow, this is only one person is saying something against Graham Hancock. Literally, everyone that's educated practically is saying something against Graham Hancock.
Right. Yeah.
And why people still like him. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Many alternative archaeologies have been adopted by religious groups. Fringe archaeological ideas such as archaeocryptography and pyramidology have been embraced by religions ranging from the British Israelites to the Theosophists. Other alternative archaeologies include those that have been adopted by members of New Age and contemporary pagan belief systems. Academic archaeologists have heavily criticized pseudo-archaeology, with one of the most vocal critics, John R. Cole, characterizing it as a relying on sensationalism, misuse of logic and evidence, misunderstanding of the scientific method, and internal contradictions in their arguments. The relationship between alternative and academic archaeologies has been compared to the relationship between intelligent design theories and the evolutionary biology by some archaeologists.
Oh, I agree. Well, even like we showed, Graham Hancock's, in a sense, argument from ignorance is the same shit theists use all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's science denialism is what it is.
Exactly. Right. So let's now read a little bit about Graham Hancock, and then.
All right. So Graham Hancock, born August 2nd, 1950, is a British writer who promotes pseudoscientific theories involving ancient civilizations and lost lands. Hancock speculates that an advanced Ice Age civilization was destroyed in a cataclysm, but that its survivors passed on their knowledge to hunter-gatherers, giving rise to the earliest known civilizations of ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. Reviews of Hancock's interpretations of archaeological evidence and historic documents have identified them as a form of pseudo-archaeology or pseudo-history that fit a preconceived conclusion by ignoring context, cherry-picking, or misinterpreting evidence, and withholding critical countervailing data. His writings have neither undergone scholarly peer review nor been published in academic journals.
Nor would they ever.
No.
Unless they're just themselves wanting to, support fallacies.
Right. Born in Edinburgh, Hancock studied sociology at Durham University before working as a journalist, writing for a number of British newspapers and magazines. His first 3 books dealt with international development, including Lords of Poverty, 1989, a well-received critique of corruption in the aid system. Beginning with The Sign and the Seal in 1992, he shifted focus to speculative accounts of human prehistory and ancient civilizations, on which he has written a dozen books, most notably Fingerprints of the Gods, The Message of the Sphinx, and Magicians of the Gods. His ideas have been the subject of several films, including the Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse 2022, and Hancock makes regular appearances on the podcast The Joe Rogan Experience to discuss them. He has also written 2 fantasy novels, and in 2013 delivered a controversial TEDx talk promoting the use of ayahuasca. Hancock does not agree with archaeologists that the earliest known civilizations arose independently. He speculates that there was an advanced civilization during the last ice age, that it was destroyed in a natural cataclysm during the Younger Dryas, and that its
Younger Dryas. Dry is in like the climate. Anyways, okay. It's like a monsoon and the dry, but anyways, it has to do with cold. It was dry and cold, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And its few survivors traveled the world, introducing agriculture, monumental architecture, and astronomy to hunter-gatherers, giving rise to civilizations like ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. Hancock argues that evidence is found in ancient monuments, which he believes are much older than archaeologists say, and also in myths like Atlantis. He recycles the idea American Congressman Ignatius Donnelly put forward in his book Atlantis.
And he was a racist, by the way, so yeah.
Of course, yeah. yeah. The anti-Diluvian world.
Instead of just saying it, let's click on Ignatius Donnelly just so we can. I love evidence, so
sure. He was a white congressman in the 1890s, so
yeah. There you go. There's your sign.
I don't know. Yeah.
You're like, I have an implicit bias that he's from that time, and it's probably not going to be good for his racist ideas.
That's right. Generally not. All right. Ignatius
is a writer.
Ignatius Loyola Donnelly was an American congressman, populist writer, and fringe scientist. He is known primarily for his fringe theories concerning Atlantis.
Hold on a second. He's Atlantis, just like Graham Hancock.
Yep. Yep. And especially the idea of ancient impact affecting ancient civilizations and Shakespearean authorship. Oh. He has fringe ideas about Shakespearean authorship. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So these works are widely regarded as examples of pseudoscience and pseudohistory. Donnelly's work corresponds with the writings of late 19th and early 20th century figures such as Helena Blavatsky, Rudolf Steiner, and James Churchward.
Let's go click down where it says reception. Donnelly's writings on Alas have been rejected.
Yes, by scholars and scientists. He has been described as a crank and pseudoscience promoter.
Right. And so if you're reading his ideas and then you think they're good, there's got to be some implicit bias that you don't grasp fucking science or education or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't value it. Look at the one person says, his ideas, most of what Donnelly says is highly questionable and downright wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what? We could just add Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock is most of what Graham Hancock says is highly questionable and downright wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That could be my quote. Most of what Graham Hancock says is highly questionable and downright wrong. Oh, shit, that might even become my quote.
Yeah.
You know what, Graham Hancock? Because stealing ideas is always the way to go.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go back to the Graham Hancock.
Okay. So where am I? Ignatius Donnelly. Yeah. So his book on Atlantis. So his archaeologist Flint Dimble says Hancock's claims reinforce white supremacist ideas, stripping indigenous people of their rich heritage and instead giving credit to aliens or white people.
Right, and Graham Hancock supposedly doesn't believe in aliens, although he did write a book about the Mars mystery or something.
Oh.
So supposedly people live in there. So, well, maybe you don't believe that aliens built the pyramids, but you do believe in aliens.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Hancock's claims and methods are regarded as pseudo-archaeology. In Archaeological Fantasies, Garrett G. Fagan points out that pseudo-archaeologists cherry-pick evidence and misrepresent known facts. When apparently factual claims in their works are investigated, it turns out that quotes are presented out of context. Critical countervailing data is withheld, the state of understanding is misrepresented, or critical archaeological information about context is ignored. Fagan gives two examples from Hancock's book, Fingerprints of the Gods, from 1995. Hancock wrote that the best recent evidence suggests that large regions of Antarctica may have been ice-free until about 6,000 years ago, referring to the Peary-Rees map and Hapgood's work from the 1960s. What is left entirely unmentioned are the extensive studies of the Arctic ice sheet by George H. Denton, published in 1981, which showed the ice to be hundreds of thousands of years old. When discussing the ancient Bolivian city of Tiwanaku, Hancock presents it as a mysterious site about which very little is known, and that minimal archaeology has been done over the years, suggesting that it may date to 17,000 years ago. Yet in the years prior to these statements, dozens of studies had been published, major excavations were conducted, and the site was radiocarbon dated by 3 sets of samples to around 1500 BCE. Which
is around 3,500 years ago.
Yeah, not nearly 17,000.
So you see that he, when it comes to telling the truth, he's obviously not doing a great job.
Yeah.
Not my opinion, simply the facts.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it is also my opinion due to the facts.
Based on the facts, yeah. So Ancient Apocalypse is a 2022 documentary series about the pseudo-archaeological theories of the British writer Graham Hancock. Hancock's theories are the basis of Ancient Apocalypse, a 2022 documentary series produced by Netflix, where Hancock's son Sean is senior manager of unscripted originals. In the series, Hancock argues that an advanced Ice Age civilization.
Oh, maybe there's a conspiracy. Hancock's son helped him get on Netflix?
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe it's this whole anti-science cabal.
Or at least like reverse nepotism in this case.
Really. Still a form of nepotism in a sense.
Yeah,
Still
that's right.
in it for the family.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, it's outside agitators.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Which is totally nonsense because literally that is, in a sense, presents a fallacy, because as if all social justice movements are somehow limited to non-outside agitators. And if outside agitators, you mean the people that help set up events? That's an outside agitator.
An outside agitator.
I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty dumb. The idea that that students don't organize themselves for causes that they believe in.
It's somehow a bad thing when people besides students are doing something.
Right.
What
right.
the fuck kind of stupid shit is that? Or teachers were involved. Yeah, so it must be wrong, right? If teachers are involved.
No, it's very silly.
But to me too, it's like, oh, they're being violent. Well, do you mean violent as in when other people come and attack them, then they're violent back? Or do you mean they're attacking people? I mean, because I feel like that once again, like the right in general tries to do is justify all of its, authoritarian violence.
Yeah.
It has to be violent because...
Well, and that's why they equivocate like property damage or like a broken window with on the same level as like damage to people or like hateful action or,
Instead, and like I told you, once again, axiologically, it's not like that can never be true. It generally is not true. You don't say, if I go and chop down a neighbor's tree, I feel like it's on my property line. I don't like it. I'm going to chop it down, but still it's theirs, right? We don't say I murdered the tree, even if I'm 100% wrong, right?
Yeah.
You don't fucking... So... Does that mean that I think it's okay for us to go and fucking do stuff and, to other people? No. But even if you did it to stuff, it doesn't mean that just doing it is automatically some sort of extra harm. It's property damage, which is...
I don't even like using the term violence for property damage.
I don't use the term violence. But let me finish what I'm saying, though. When it can become violence, because I do believe that, in a sense, it can. Let's say that I add a threat.
Yeah.
I'm going to hurt you like I just did this tree, and I cut the tree down. In a sense, but it's the larger context that makes it that, not the thing itself. Yeah. So if they say we're going to kill anyone that tries to come in here, and then they break windows, I could see that feeling like violence.
Sure.
Right? I'm just making the comment that what I'm saying is they try to say like it always is the case or something. That's not true.
Yeah.
Or always, even if you put yourself into place. Right. So here's the thing. So they said they have to get the people that had like taken a part of the building. Okay, let's assume. So you have to buy their argument, right? Let's assume that all that's correct. What does that have to do with all the people down below in tents? Nothing.
Yeah. Nothing.
Fucking nothing, right? Don't give me this horse shit. It's because violence is happening, so we gotta just get all of it out. Oh yeah, really? So just fucking fascism, right? No fucking freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So even if they said you can't be in this quad, you have to be just outside, and they let them move to just outside, and that's it. I'm gonna say the whole thing is really, they just want to justify their own bullshit. But and like I told you, calling people that are anti-Israel or anti-Zionist somehow racist by saying anti-Semitic. Okay, Israel's a state; it's not a people, so it's not racism.
No, that's right.
And saying, it's an ethno state, There's other ethnostates. We don't have that same thing. We don't say we're anti somehow Iran or something, bigotry, because we don't like Iran. Or how about North Korea? Literally, North Korea is Koreans, right? Only Koreans. In fact, only North Koreans even do. Right? So literally an ethnostate. Does that mean that the people have to do with what the leader does? I mean, don't we look at our countries and know there's a difference?
In most cases, we even criticize those countries for being ethnostates, right?
Yeah, yes. Not like it's some glorious thing, some epitome of justice. So the fact that I'm just saying, the ethnostate. So when the ethnostate does things, North Korea, say Kim Jong-un does missiles, do we think all the North Koreans are somehow bad? Would it be reasonable to think that? Just like I always say to people, how they act about all this just seems so unreasonable to me.
Yeah.
I can always criticize states. I mean, it has nothing the fuck to do, and I will always criticize states. It has nothing to do with racism and shit. And Zionism is about land ownership and power and control of the land ownership.
Yeah.
So that's not racism. I mean, I'm just saying, right? Yeah, exactly. And even if they feel that Palestinianism, or whatever you want to call it, is somehow doing that also, does that mean that they aren't doing it? The Jews aren't doing it? So in other words, if they say that from the river to the sea is bigoted, well, then it would also be bigoted when the Jews use it, correct?
That's right.
Or when Israel uses it, I should be more accurate. When Israel uses it, the Zionist Israel, whatever, uses it, the river to the sea, because Benjamin Netanyahu said it, I think it was 2023 or 2024, can't remember exactly. And it was literally part of the platform phrase for his party, which I think that was in 2017 or 16. Anyways, that made a comment about the river to the sea. So literally they do it, right? But no mention of that in the news.
No, of course
don't
not.
Bring that up, right? Like Graham Hancock. You don't state facts that we do know. Like, well, it was invented by Israel. It was actually a Zionist phrase. And now
the context needs to be removed.
Yeah, and now that 1960 it started to be used by Palestinians, and now that it's making people feel bad, we want to say it's anti-Semitic. If it's anti-Semitic, then it's also anti-Palestine. You can't have it fucking one way.
Yeah.
Right? Logically, you can't. Yeah. If you're gonna say it is wrong for Palestinians or anyone to use it towards Palestine, it is also fucking wrong. Would it not be? If you say it only has to be, for Jews, I mean, can that own the land? Well, then that's also the issue, right?
Yeah. But no, I don't have really anything to add. I was just thinking, like, it's really hard to get a state to be intellectually honest.
Well, yes, and that's really, like I said, the problem. What is wrong with why there is this, promotion of fucking wrong ideas is intellectually dishonest people.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't know, like implicit bias, maybe they're implicitly intellectually dishonest. But here's the fact: you're still intellectually dishonest.
Yeah, that's right.
The end result is still, my intent was, okay, well, you still did it,
Yeah.
So let's go back to reading.
Sure. Where was I? Oh, yes, his son, the senior manager of unscripted originals. In the series, Hancock argues that an advanced Ice Age civilization was destroyed in a cataclysm, but that its survivors introduced agriculture, monumental agriculture, and astronomy to hunter-gatherers around the world. He attempts to show how several ancient monuments are evidence of this, and claims that archaeologists are ignoring or covering up this alleged evidence. It incorporates ideas from the Comet Research Group, including the controversial Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. Archaeologists and other experts have described the theories presented in the series as lacking in evidence and easily disproven. It has been criticized for failing to present alternative hypotheses or contradicting evidence, and for unfounded accusations that mainstream archaeology conspires against Hancock's ideas. Archaeologists have linked Hancock's claims to racist and white supremacist ideologies from the 19th century, which they say are insulting to the ancestors of indigenous peoples who built the monuments. A Maltese archaeologist who appeared in the episode said that her interview had been manipulated. The Society for American Archaeologists objected to the classification of the series as a documentary and requested that Netflix reclassify it as science fiction. The SAA also stated that the series repeatedly and vigorously dismisses archaeologists and the practice of archaeology with aggressive rhetoric, willfully seeking to cause harm to our membership and our profession in the public eye. The theory it presents has a long-standing association with racist, white supremacist ideologies, does injustice to indigenous peoples, and emboldens extremists.
Right. And it emboldens people to come and tell me that we don't have to trust science because Graham Hancock has told them this or showed them this or whatever the hell. It's like, oh my.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
So in the same way, I feel compelled as an atheist to attack, fucking creationists and shit or whatever their ideas. I feel the same way with Graham Hancock. What the fuck? Mistrust, science, teaching fucking false history as real history, doubting the people that are helping us learn real history. Oh fuck, no.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be that you just have to somehow, be an archaeologist to want to be against his ideas. To me, he's anti-science. Every atheist, I hope, is now against Graham Hancock.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's probably not the case, though.
Oh, I'm sure it's not. I told you, I was told by them, oh, you need to check him out. I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, unfortunately, yes. But I'm just saying, but not because somehow we're doing it because we just hate you or we're mad that you're rich off of lying. It's literally the lying that's the issue to me.
Yeah, that's right.
And then,
although the fact that people get rich lying does bother me. I'm not going to deny that.
Well, yeah, I didn't say it. Right. It does bother me. Yes, that's true. Yes, it does bother me. Absolutely. Actually, the fact that there's rich people bothers me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
In general. Yeah. Even worse than that. Okay, let's just say, fine, I can accept as rich people. Why the fuck is there poor?
Yeah. That's right.
Why is anyone somehow without food in this whole planet? Seriously. So yes, it offends me a lot. So going back to, of course, as an anarchist, it does fucking offend me a lot. Capitalism fucking offends me a lot. The people do things for money offends. I do a lot of stuff for free. It offends me a lot. Not that but this doesn't mean that I am offended because workers get paid well. It offends me, rich people. When I'm saying I have a problem with money, I'm not attacking workers.
Right.
Fuck, I hope that I'm on their side. They need more money. Fuck, what I'm attacking is rich people.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, but once again, not because I'm like jealous, because it's fucking evil. That's why it's evil. It's wrong. Fucking it hurts physically, mentally, everything. Yeah.
I am far from the most exploited person, but it is important to me that person is less exploited.
Hell yes.
So
hell yes.
it has nothing to do with jealousy of any kind, which is something that I know we do get accused of by the right. But
well, yeah. Someone made it and you didn't make it. Yeah, I haven't tried to make it. So
I'm perfectly happy where I am. What I care about is the person who's not in a good place and stuck there because of the system. That's what I care about.
Totally agree. Which is why, like I said, for me personally, I wanted to give all my stuff free so people could be educated and then money wouldn't be the limitation.
Yeah.
That I've given to people. Because if I demand, I'm just saying for myself, I was like, no. Because I feel like there's like how many articles, how many things, every paywall, fucking this, that. I was like, you know what? Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I want, because like I want people to become enlightened. I want people to understand. So, like I said, to me, as a revolutionary, I realized, you know what they're not expecting? It's me to give it away for free.
Yeah.
But you know what? They don't know that I'm an anarchist, and that's just my way to be. All right. So now that we've let's read the what they think about it, the reception to his ideas.
All right. So experts, ancient apocalypse reception. Experts in Pacific geography and archaeology, such as Patrick Nunn from the University of the Sunshine Coast, Mark McCoy from the Southern Methodist University, and Augustine Kohler, the acting director of the Federated States of Micronesia Office of National Archives and Cultural and Historic Preservation. That's a really long title. Have variously characterized Hancock's claims in Ancient Apocalypse as misleading, founded on 19th century racist and white supremacist ideologies, and as incredibly insulting to the ancestors of Pohnpeian or islanders that did create these structures.
Right. So some people that have a right to feel hurt by people's opinions about their ancestors.
Yeah, for sure. Archaeologist Flint Dibble said that the show is lacking evidence to support Hancock's theory. While there is a plethora of evidence which contradicts the dates Hancock gives, in one episode, Hancock says that the megalith temples of Malta, built in 3600 to 2500 BC, were actually built during the last ice age.
But see, I told you I have a problem with that too. Even what?
Yeah. Maltese archaeologists dismissed these claims. One, who briefly appeared in the episode, implied her interview had been manipulated. John Hoops, an archaeologist who has written about pseudoarchaeology, said the series fails to present alternative interpretations or evidence contradicting Hancock. Answering Hancock's claims of a cover-up, an article in Slate noted that archaeologists would be thrilled to uncover an Ice Age civilization if the evidence really existed. In the same vein, the archaeologist Julian Riel Salvatore argues that it is rather simple from a scientific point of view to demonstrate that the main theses of Ancient Apocalypse are false. He also believes that the series impairs the ability to discern the true from the biased, the credible from the false. Likewise, Courier International calls it dubious that Hancock's assertions are never questioned on screen. In Ancient Apocalypse, he calls the archaeologists pseudo-experts and repeats that they treat him patronizingly, but he never quotes their names nor their arguments. Writing in The Spectator, James Dellingpole described himself as a huge fan of Hancock, who finds his ideas plausible, but criticized the series' production for continually reminding the viewer that this is niche, crazy stuff that respectable experts shun, and for portraying Hancock as slippery and unreliable. Interesting.
Right. So now let's go back to the video, and
okay.
Like I said, we're gonna go through it pretty relatively fast. Also, if people don't understand, I talk about Graham Hancock's ideas, my thoughts on it, because especially about R1B, DNA, which is where, in a sense, the 17,000 or 16,000 years ago, in a sense, white skin comes from the allele for
right.
European, supposed, but it happened in Siberia, so it wasn't European, it was Asian. But so anyways, what later became what we call European white skin, you and me, is actually R1B. And I know I have R1B. But it's not all R1A also did stuff because, once again, R did it. But Hancock tries to say, oh, well, they're closer to the Native Americans, to the R1B. So that's why that means not white people. And I have this thing explains, I don't want to go through all that because there'll be almost another video really talking about my whole idea and breaking it all down of why he's wrong. We're going to watch this and then we're going to comment on it. And then we'll be done with the video. If people want to read more about my stuff, it's in the blog. That's all I was saying.
Okay.
And I think you should, because it's also other videos and things I've put you can watch and listen to, and why Graham Hancock is not. But this is really good because it's Graham Hancock talking and then addressing that. Yeah.
It's a good format for that, yeah.
For this, because I'm in a sense attacking the philosophy, kind of like the whole thinking, right? I haven't showed you like a lot of archaeological pictures, kind of like I normally do, or a lot, That's in the blog, but I really want to address the racism thing since he got so outrageous and explain all my thinking of that. and then why, and being honest, and just how it's dishonest. And then I want to, show his words and show because it's dishonest.
Right.
So,
okay.
One method that Graham Hancock employs to lay the groundwork for what he has to say, and he does this in practically every presentation he makes, is to portray archaeologists in a negative light. He may feel this is necessary because archaeologists have not accepted his views, so he says that archaeology, the archaeological establishment, is protecting a preconceived narrative about the Earth's past. It does not allow new novel ideas to be put forward. It quashes any disagreement. But this is not merely a defense, an explanation for why the establishment has not agreed with Hancock. He will often lead with this, before even presenting his own evidence. It's a way of poisoning the well, and has the effect of limiting the hearer's desire to ever go and check to see what archaeologists themselves actually are saying about a subject, because they can't be trusted.
I've come to view archaeology and history as a kind of more ideology, really, than science.
Pause for a second. See right there. See, right? Not a science, an ideology. He's pushing not science. If you don't have evidence, it absolutely is not science. It's fucking faith. So it's an ideology. It's faith, ideology. So yes, you have, it's just like religion. You have a religion of the past or whatever, theme.
Right. He's come up with like it's, I guess, just kind of reversing the roles, right? Like trying to like portray them the way that he is doing his project.
Exactly. That good point. He's actually, everything he practically claims they're doing, he is doing.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead and play it.
How civilization developed, that we have this long, slow, gradual, politically correct rise from the upper Paleolithic, from the hunter-gatherers through the Neolithic into the first cities, and we go on, and then we develop technologies, and here we are, the apex and the pinnacle of this whole story. And gosh, we're so proud of ourselves and our achievements, and we think we're wonderful, and we praise and value our technology. I've got nothing against technology, but there's a hint of arrogance in this. There's a hint of pride, that it was all about us. And I think that once you start introducing this new view of history, that there may have been an earlier civilization, a high civilization, which was utterly wiped out by a global cataclysm, why it contradicts that ideological position, and you find yourself in ideological struggle with archaeologists.
The arrogance of archaeologists and historians that Hancock describes, he says, is the result of their ideology. This is interesting. Their portrayal of the human story is prideful because it suggests that humans got better and better over time until they reached us, and we are the apex. The implication is that Hancock's view that civilizations rise and fall represents a more humble view of humanity. But surely he must know that history is not presented by archaeologists as a simple, gradual line of progress going up. It has plenty of ups and downs. You can read about the growth and decline of civilizations in most history books, even of catastrophic disasters. The Minoan eruption, the Bronze Age collapse, the fall of Western Rome, the Black Death, the plagues brought by Europeans that wiped out American civilization. Geneticists have found population collapses at various points in time. There are many hills and valleys in the line of progress in the mainstream view of human history. And surely no one has said that progress stops in our time. And if progress will continue after our time, we are not the pinnacle. At some point in the future, it might decline again. When I read history books, I don't see historians commenting about how much more awesome people are today than they were in the past. So I'm having a hard time seeing this particular form of arrogance that...
No, but some of the new atheists kind of imply some of that shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is, as he's saying, wrong.
Yeah, that's right. It's not archaeologists that say that we're the apex, but Francis Fukuyama in the 90s said that we were at the end of history, right? So there is some people with that attitude. Steven
Oh, yeah.
Pinker seems to have that kind of attitude.
He does, yeah.
So it's not that it doesn't exist. It's just that it's not done by archaeologists.
Certainly not by the mainstream or majority of archaeologists.
Yeah.
Even if someone who has an archaeology degree or schooling somehow comes to that conclusion, once again, you can't tar and feather the whole field of archaeologists.
Exactly. It's very strange. I guess I wanted to kind of it's funny to me that Graham Hancock used the words politically correct to discuss.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, so he's on Joe Rogan, which is a well-known kind of anti-woke, anti-PC show. And so he has to paint the gradual progress that humanity has done in this politically correct language, right? This anti-woke language, right? Like he's got to frame it for the audience that he's discussing
which
it with.
Is intellectually dishonest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. It's very funny to me.
He's a con.
Hancock is talking
obviously.
about.
This is part of the problem I have with archaeology as a discipline. It likes to think of itself as scientific, but what I think it's primarily doing, and it is weird, is trying to control the narrative about the past.
Pause for 1 second. That's literally what he's doing. He's trying to control the narrative and his view of the past.
This is something that you see a lot with pseudoscientific views, right? It's always the mainstream wants to keep my perspective down. They want to control the narrative. There's follow the money, right? Like, and I believe in follow the money to an extent, but like,
if
science is what it is.
Well, I was going to say, first off, you already know if the right wingers are saying follow the money, it's probably horseshit. Yeah, they believe stuff like that. Remember that person attacked the pizza place, thought he was saving children or something, and in the basement, and they're like, we don't even have a basement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, they believe conspiracy theories, like somehow, Democrats are drinking children's blood or something. I mean, they literally are like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
We on the left have conspiracy theories. Yeah, no, I would call them understanding political dynamics. The rich,
yeah, that's right,
will always want to get richer.
Yeah,
they won't ever just let us vote away their money or tax them out of existence or put some barriers or caps on their explosion of wealth while other people have nothing.
Yeah, exactly. There was Brian Dunning did a podcast about the Koch brothers and how, he said that the Kochs are the Rothschilds of the left, right? Like, and I was like, yeah, except we know that the Kochs have donated to multiple campaigns and they own multiple media outlets. Like, they literally do this stuff.
Well, yeah, like I'm just saying that. So not that the left does everything 100% correct. There's people that have been anti-Semitic both in the past and current.
Yes.
So I mean, and sexist or homophobic or whatever. So it's not that, but certainly those are not things that we should be trying to continue, right? No.
I find that there is on the left that we're a part of, not necessarily the Democratic left, but maybe not even state communist left, but like the left that we're a part of, there's a desire to have, there's a desire to have true beliefs, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I would say even some of the state and some of the Democrat, even some of the rightists do care about true beliefs, but they don't all care about it.
Yeah,
they're like Graham Hancock. It's sort of a cherry pick your situation. So they sometimes, but I would say that they also, because they're not anarchists, I feel like they are attached to more ideology than we are. Not that some anarchists are also not attached to ideology.
For sure.
And by the way, anarcho-capitalists, everybody is not anarchists, so I don't even trust them. When I talk, that's not what? Who?
Yeah, that's right.
So I was making a comment. So I don't even address them because they're not, to me, anarchists. So I don't address. Yeah, you can't say I support keeping tons of, corporate power and just don't. The problem is just government. Like, no, the problem is hierarchy, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that as an anarchist, I don't think you're an anarchist. Hierarchy literally is the issue. The other stuff, there's a whole bunch of other issues. But if we are not agreeing that hierarchy is wrong, how are you an anarchist?
Exactly.
So, yeah, let's go watch the video. I just wanted to say that also, and I appreciate you adding your comments.
That's because the people that are in control of archaeology, the academics, the professors, these people have written books on these things, have lectured on these things, and they've been very specific about timelines and dates.
Yeah, I think it's a complicated it's a complicated mixture of things. First of all, because archaeology is so desperate to be seen as a science, it tries as hard as possible to distance itself from any ideas that might be seen as woo-woo. Anything out on the edge, archaeology doesn't want to associate itself with. And then it takes the next
step.
Pause
for a second. Oh my God, as an atheist, how would you not go fuck? I like archaeologists, right? Literally.
Of course they don't want to be associated with the woo-woo stuff. What the fuck are you talking about?
And you see that as a bad thing, right? Fuck, I like them better now.
Yeah, that means that they don't want to be, they don't like the woo stuff. They want to be associated with evidence. They want to follow the truth. Like, they don't want to just make shit up.
And he's making that as, that's a problem.
Right. Yeah. Absurd.
And really seeks to attack out on the edge ideas.
The implication here is that archaeologists cannot distinguish between actual woo and merely ideas that are out on the edge. But more significantly, that they judge an idea by the general feeling that it gives them or by what it sort of kind of sounds like, rather than on what they usually judge matters by, which is the actual evidence.
Now, I don't know why the possibility of a lost civilization during the Ice Age should be an out on the edge idea. We've had lost civilizations before. The Indus Valley civilization today in Pakistan wasn't known about until the 1920s. It was found by accident. And, every turn of the archaeologist's spade can reveal new information. But the reaction to my proposal that we've forgotten an episode in the human story, it's always been hostile since I published Fingerprints of the Gods in 1995. But with Ancient Apocalypse, much bigger platform reaching a much wider audience, the reaction was just hysterical. And it went on for a very long time. And it appeared to me, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think archaeologists are involved in a conspiracy. I think the people who are attacking me genuinely believe in what they're saying, and they genuinely think I'm harmful.
He says he doesn't know why his idea should be out on the edge, despite the fact that this has been explained to him hundreds of times over 3 decades. He knows it is because history is based on evidence, and his evidence is lacking. It's not hard to understand, and yet he continues to tell Joe and others that he can't understand why, that it must be because of failings of the archaeological establishment, and so he relies on the credulity of the people he talks to. They think to themselves, Hancock must know, right? It's happening to him. And then he speaks of criticism as hostility or hysteria. It's important to his narrative that he be seen as a persecuted man. This is how he preps people so that when they do begin to hear archaeologists speaking about the errors Hancock has made, they will be more likely to turn the archaeologists off because they think it's just a bunch of nasty know-it-alls who don't like being contradicted. And what I have observed is that when Hancock's fans do see archaeologists talking, they will focus on their demeanor or tone, looking for signs of smugness or conceit, rather than on the content of their words.
The way archaeology works, there's going to continue to be huge resistance to new evidence. And that's really problematic because science should be open to new evidence and it should be willing to change its mind when new evidence suggests that a change of mind is needed.
But you have to present evidence. There has to be some evidence.
Yeah, right. They do change their mind when given evidence. I 100% agree.
You can't just say a thing and then say, well, they're being resistant to the evidence. You haven't given any evidence.
And even admits that. That's why I love that quote he gave. You literally admit there's no evidence, but you still believe your thing for 30 years when everyone's showing you why you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's like a religion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that he does kind of like, it's almost like an anchoring sort of thing where he like perhaps like tells people that the way that to expect the archaeologists to behave, right? It's like they will be this way. So, you know, then when they see that, that's when they dismiss their arguments.
Which is a lot of manipulation and intellectual dishonesty.
Yeah.
By the way, people, I really hope don't feel bad if you go and use my term of saying intellectual dishonesty connected with Graham Hancock. In fact, I hope you do. I hope everyone starts identifying what's really going. Don't call them names. Say what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Hancock wants archaeologists to change their mind. The evidence he presents must be sufficient to do so. Anyone that studies archaeology knows that archaeologists constantly, and since the beginning, have been saying that it is difficult to know what happened in the past. This is why they are very careful about jumping to conclusions and temper their words to be sure not to make more of a piece of evidence than is justified. Unlike historians and archaeologists, Graham does not temper his conclusions when evidence is absent. He fills in the gaps with whatever narrative he wants.
You see, that's why archaeologists need to be a little more humble, because the next turn of the spade can change everything, completely alter the story, and we should always remain open to that.
Yeah, it's so ironic in a way that the human desire for knowledge is what has led us to where we are today. We have this insatiable desire for knowledge and for innovation, but that same human desire to achieve is also what's the ego is responsible for that. And the ego blocks anything that's contrary to what you've already established as fact.
History and archaeology are constantly being updated. You can observe their ideas change in real time. All you have to do is look. Compare a college history textbook from today with one from 10 years ago. The narrative of history has been revised. Subscribe to archaeological news outlets and see how new discoveries are changing the way archaeologists think all the time. Updates are occurring constantly. The irony here is that when Rogan says that ego blocks people from changing their ideas, he is aptly describing Hancock's approach, but he doesn't see it. He thinks he's describing the archaeological establishment.
That's because he's also describing his approach, because Joe Rogan's the same way.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Yeah.
Decades searching for proof of this lost civilization at sites around the globe.
Note here, he does not say he is searching for the truth. He's not collecting evidence and then judging it to figure out what happened. He is searching for proof of this lost civilization. Ask yourself, when new evidence is presented to Graham Hancock, what will he do with it? Well, we know from his history what he usually does. What matters most is whether the piece of evidence supports his thesis about a lost civilization that existed during the last ice age and was wiped out in a cataclysm. If it seems to support his thesis, he will embrace it and publish about it. And if it contradicts his thesis, he will most often dismiss it out of hand as invalid or sweep it under the rug and pretend it doesn't exist. On this principle, he will even choose to favor a disputed theory over a consensus viewpoint. Hancock has built his whole brand around his narrative. He is not about to change it now. He may revise his opinion about minor points here and there when he has to, but not the basic thesis. Compare that to archaeologists who find a place like Göbekli Tepe and immediately update their understanding of what happened. If you read the headlines about new discoveries, you will often see archaeologists saying, "We used to think this, but because of this new evidence, now we think this." Does that sound resistant to new evidence? They do this because they as a group have not built a brand around a narrative. Their brand is that they are detectives trying to figure out what happened. The conclusion is irrelevant. The irony of all this is that Joe thinks that Graham is the open-minded one, the one making changes, and the archaeologists are not. It's the exact opposite of the truth. I agree that ego is a problem, but it's especially a problem for the lone individual against hundreds of experts around the world. And I'm not talking here about Hancock specifically. A person who thinks that they have found things everyone else missed. A person who thinks they see things more clearly than all the subject experts. A person whose pride is hurt when their ideas don't get accepted. They can understand why anyone would not be convinced. So what do they conclude? If they have a modicum of humility, they will say, I must have missed something. If they have a huge ego, they say, there must be something wrong with the establishment because it certainly isn't me. I can't help but think of the words of physicist Richard Feynman in his famous cargo cult speech, when he says what anyone doing science ought to have. It's a kind of scientific integrity, he says, a principle of scientific thought that corresponds to a kind of utter honesty, a kind of leaning over backwards. For example, if you're doing an experiment, you should report everything that you think might make it invalid. Not only what you think is right about it, other causes that could possibly explain your results, and things you thought of that you've eliminated by some other experiment, and how they worked, to make sure the other fellow can tell they have been eliminated. Details that could throw doubt on your interpretation must be given, if you know them. You must do the best you can, if you know anything at all wrong or possibly wrong, to explain it. If you make a theory, for example, and advertise it or put it out, then you must also put down all the facts that disagree with it, as well as those that agree with it. There is also a more subtle problem. When you have put a lot of ideas together to make an elaborate theory, you want to make sure, when explaining what it fits, that those things it fits are not just the things that gave you the idea for the theory, but that the finished theory makes something else come out right, in addition. In summary, the idea is to try to give all of the information to help others to judge the value of your contribution, not just the information that leads to judgment in one particular direction or another. Does Graham Hancock lean over backward to falsify his thesis if possible? There is a double-sided component to Hancock's presentation of himself. On the one hand, he's just asking questions and suggesting other ways of looking at things, but is not actually saying that he's right.
I don't claim to be an archaeologist or a scientist. I am a journalist.
I feel my role is to inquire into interesting things that are forbidden territory for scientists. And when I inquire into them, it doesn't mean that I'm insisting this is a fact. What I'm saying is this is something that we need an alternative point of view on. And let's look at and consider what this might mean. And I may be completely wrong, but I think the exploration is worthwhile. That's the position that I take.
On the other hand, he's a crusader, waging war against the establishment and the purveyor of a superior model of history.
I'm trying to overthrow the paradigm of history.
These two versions of Hancock come out at different times, depending on which attitude is needed for a given response. Are they contradictory positions? Some might call this a Mott and Bailey. I mean, it is possible to suggest an alternative point of view and attempt to overthrow the paradigm of history, but he can't say he's only suggesting an alternative point of view. And how can he acknowledge he may be completely wrong, but also say that he knows the paradigm of history is wrong for contradicting his point of view? I don't know.
Thanks.
In a way, I've been glad to have received the vituperative level of attack from archaeology that I did, because it shows I've pressed their buttons.
When archaeologists ignore Hancock, he complains that they aren't giving his ideas due attention. When they give his ideas attention and naturally point out the errors, he complains that he's being persecuted. But don't be fooled. The negative attention is great for his brand because he can use it to his advantage, and does. He himself says he's glad, in a way, that it happened.
It shows there's something they feel they need to cancel here. There's something they feel they need to get rid of.
And it's the most dangerous show on television.
The most dangerous show on Netflix. An absurd idea. Really crazy. But that's cancel language, you know. That's the language you use. Also, you call somebody anti-Semitic or racist or white supremacist or misogynist. All of those are easy labels, which these days just need to be applied to.
They're not easy labels. No. You are doing white supremacist, racist shit. What are you talking about? The reason you get that label is your behavior. You're supporting ideas.
Yeah.
In other words, like this. Let's just say what my grandma said, she's not a racist, right? But she told me, did you know that black people's urine comes out in their sweat and that's why they stink? I told her, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you reading? New Hitler Youth or some bullshit? My point is, just because Graham Hancock, even like my grandmother, doesn't think they're racist, if they hear ideas that are fucking ludicrous from racists and they go, I think that's a valid theory.
This stupid idea has some merit.
You might be a racist and nothing more than implicitly biased.
That's right.
But to say you're nothing and no connection and not deserving that term, come on.
This is what we kind of talked about earlier with people who take it as an insult or think that you're calling them names. Like he says, all these labels are easy labels, right? But it's literally it's like a description of an observation of your behavior and the effects that it has. Yeah. It's not a label that we apply to nothing. It's a statement of fact.
Exactly. Right.
Absurd. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. It smells very nice in my office.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, I'll press the play again.
Right.
Person. Nobody even investigates or goes look, goes to see.
When the Society of American Archaeologists wrote to Netflix asking them to recategorize his special as science fiction, he can accuse them of trying to suppress his work. When they say that his ideas have racist or anti-Semitic origins, he can say, they're slandering me by calling me a racist. All of this feeds into his narrative about the man being out to get him. So it's all good for his brand. What the SAA wrote, even if it's true, looks to many people like a cheap shot, and it gains Hancock's sympathy. So I think it helps him more than harms him. I know he hates the criticism, but there's a side of him that loves it too. It's popular today to complain of cancel culture, and he can present himself as a victim of it. even though he has a larger platform than probably any living archaeologist in the world.
Well, it seems like to me, as a layperson, with all of this evidence and all this evidence that correlates, it's all corresponding, it all seems to fit together. It would seem that this would be something that a lot of mainstream scientists and archaeologists would be extremely interested in. Like, why would they try to ignore something like this?
The first thing they've tried to do is to get rid of it. This is often the case where
Pause
new
for a second.
information.
That is absolute horseshit.
Yeah, that's
Just like I
100%
told you, literally, archaeologists don't have my thinking, right? My thinking, I look at the past. It's not that no one's ever had some similar kind of thinking, but I explain it a different way, so it's my ideas, right? And I'm giving facts and stuff. Because once again, I told you, because I get the long-term approach of the whole world and throughout time, not just cherry-picked bullshit.
Yeah.
You can see. Anyways, so we already know in the last video we did that I've had archaeologists like and share my stuff.
Yep.
And even say that my approach, even though I'm not an archaeologist, is definitely using critical thinking. Right. So they are not against outside the box ideas. They're against shit that has no evidence.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't they?
Yeah, that's right. And like it's like Joe, the segment starts off with Joe Rogan talking about with all this evidence, all these correlations, all this corresponding evidence, and it's like none of that's true. There's none of that. Like it's all just fucking in his head. He just made it up.
Exactly. Actually, even worse than that, like I told you, he's plagiarized. Other people made it
right.
up. He's just promoted it currently.
Yeah. He's just the current incarnation of the guy that's spreading it.
Yeah, 100 years ago, archaeologists thought it was an interesting idea. They checked it out. It was wrong then. Yours is not any better. No, there's no impetus, especially as you even admit, that there's nothing we've been found that supports your thing at all in the 30 years even that you've been doing this bullshit.
Yeah.
And archaeology has advanced in 30 years, yet not your idea.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ludicrous. Like, you see why I felt he needs to be addressed. It's literally fucking, this dude's an anti-science. Why isn't more people attacking him for that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Fuck.
for sure. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Nation emerges that contradicts established theories. And it's a strange phenomenon in science because we like to think of scientists as rational and reasonable people. But the fact is that when you get very committed to a particular model, to a particular idea, I think you start to connect your own personality to it. And any attack on that idea becomes an existential attack on you yourself.
How sad.
I have to ask.
Fuck you, Joe. Like, fuck you, how sad. He's 100% does that on every fucking bullshit status quo argument. He's so full of shit. Fuck off.
Like I said, man, I didn't even. I feel like it's so bullshit. If it wasn't people believing it, I wouldn't even address this fucker.
No kidding, hey?
Right? He's
Jesus.
a fucking ridiculous, scam artist or a fool. He's a fool. If he really truly believes this, and then, of course, then we remember, yeah, but there's a lot of intellectual dishonesty. A fool. And intellectual dishonesty? No. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, you got to go back to that problem.
Yeah, that's right. Jesus. So annoying.
The more you've learned, now you're hating him more, right?
Oh, it's terrible.
It's like, you're like, no wonder Damien's been going off for a year on this fucker.
Yeah, it's one thing to like see it in the show. Because it was pretty annoying in the show, like, but then to see him like make up all these fucking backwards justifications on Joe Rogan's podcast over multiple episodes, like it keeps popping up the different episode numbers, up in the corner, and there's like 10 episodes that he's been on or whatever. Go like, what the fuck is going on here? Joe's just like a freaking idiot.
The Joe Rogan podcast is a fucking cesspool of fucking nonsense and hate or whatever. It's just toxic. And like I said, it's why I do not want to go on it.
Yeah. Just garbage.
Because it's fucking garbage. And the fact that it's garbage, people are watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just like why people are with Graham Hancock. Look how Joe's like, oh yeah, he's got giving you no evidence. So Joe's like, oh man, all the evidence, all the correlations. Like, what evidence? No correlations. The fuck.
Just admit there's no evidence for this. Like, come on.
Which I said, well, that's why I wanted to read the quote at the beginning, because it's just great. That from what the archaeologists found, there's no evidence of his theory.
Yeah.
Just people, just think of that.
Yeah. Take that as it is. Like, come on.
Yeah. Good. Go keep going though. Let's listen to this shit.
Okay.
Is Hancock committed to a particular idea? He seems to be. Has he connected this idea to his own personality so that if it's attacked, he considers it an existential attack on himself? From what I've seen, this also is true. So right off the bat, this sounds hypocritical. But the other thing is, in the fields of history and archaeology and science, criticism is not only encouraged, but required. When someone puts an idea out there, they expect and hope for their peers to find fault with it. Iron sharpens iron, after all. I do think it's true that some individuals, even in academia, have the tendency to consider attacks against their ideas as personal attacks. But everyone knows and expects that criticism will happen. And because they want their theories to withstand scrutiny, they are motivated to strengthen their arguments. Peer review is part and parcel of these fields. It helps to mitigate bias. Hancock is not interested in his ideas going through this process. If Hancock truly were interested in putting his ideas to the test, he would prepare his best arguments and publish them in a peer-reviewed academic journal, maybe with a co-author. But he prefers to bypass that process and go directly to the public, whom he knows has very little knowledge of ancient history, and to build his reputation on their support. And when archaeologists do critique his arguments, he bristles. Now, I understand that he's only a journalist, but when you say that your theories have more to recommend them than the theories of archaeologists, you are voluntarily entering the fray.
And it is sad, because again and again what we see is the new facts being dismissed because they don't fit the existing theory, where in fact what we should be doing is modifying the existing theory to explain the newly discovered facts. And this is a problem in the whole history of science.
Is he saying that in science they don't modify existing theories to explain newly discovered facts? Surely he must know the history of science better than that. In fact, elsewhere he suggests that science is untrustworthy because its past ideas have been revised. As for archaeologists and historians, they're always suggesting new ways of looking at something. You can't get published unless you have something new to say. All you have to do is pick up some academic journals and read the papers. It's everywhere and plain to see. I mean, think about it. Why would anyone want to become an archaeologist? To just repeat what they have always been saying? Be serious. This is a field about discovery. So how did Joe get the impression that archaeologists won't entertain new ideas? He got this impression from Graham himself. And when Joe says to Graham, it's a shame archaeologists won't listen to other ideas, Graham does not correct him. Instead, he encourages and continues to cultivate this mindset.
There's a climate of fear in archaeology. I don't mean to pick particularly on archaeologists here. I think this is generally true across other disciplines as well. These days, academics are driven by the need to publish research papers. That's what they build their careers on. If they can get a paper on their bit of research published in Nature or the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, etc., that's good for their careers. But then you confront the gatekeepers in those publications who regard any archaeological idea that is not part of the mainstream accepted consensus with great suspicion, and are most reluctant to publish that information.
Hancock makes a good point. I think it is true that people can get set in their ways and should be more open to ideas that come from outside the box. But Hancock is using this as an excuse why his idea about a lost advanced civilization hasn't gotten through the gatekeepers. It's because of a climate of fear. But consider the possibility that the idea has not been accepted because the idea contradicts the preponderance of evidence. That's a possibility, isn't it? Hancock may not want to accept this possibility, but maybe you can.
If you go against the mainstream view, your career does not progress as an Egyptologist.
For context, he said this in regard to his son, who had been studying Egyptology, getting his grade marked down when he suggested in a paper that his father might be correct. But notice, he did not conclude, if you propose that the pyramids might be thousands of years older, your career does not progress. No, he says, if you go against the mainstream view. So it sounds as if you can't disagree with the mainstream view about anything. And yet archaeology is largely about disagreeing with prevailing views. Go read some archaeology papers.
I think the professional academia, particularly in the realm of archaeology, encourages those who are working in the field to think in terms of the existing paradigm, not to think in terms of challenging the paradigm, because it's dangerous. If you challenge the paradigm, you're going to be ridiculed by your colleagues and regarded as completely lunatic and attacked and insulted. So it's better not to challenge the paradigm.
When Hancock says paradigm, I think he's just referring to long-held beliefs which are assumed to be factual. And if so, it is true that challenging such notions will get a lot of pushback, though many have successfully done so and made it through relatively unscathed. But yes, entrenched ideas.
Yeah, it's not that you can't challenge the quote unquote long held, like the paradigm or the long held beliefs. It's just you can't make absurd claims like Atlantis or fucking aliens.
Right. Or gods.
Or gods. Yeah. Like, come on. It's not that difficult to like recognize the difference between these two acts, right?
You shouldn't, but yeah. It obviously is. The dude, Graham Hancock, is a millionaire, so obviously something is wrong.
True. Yeah, true. Somebody's missing something.
Right? Well, I'm glad that at least if nothing else, we've impressed on you to remember who Graham Hancock is.
Yeah. Fucking guy.
Now, watch. Someone's going to probably, in a random thing, they're going to bring up, hey, did you hear about this? And Graham Hancock? And you're going to have to go, oh, fuck. Do I say something?
You know what? I have to go now.
Yeah. Oh, so you don't believe in science. Got it.
Good. I'm glad we can have that. I'm glad I can know that about people. Yeah.
Really.
Ideas are harder to deconstruct. I don't think anyone would disagree. The point I want to make is that Hancock is using this to make it seem like his ideas are ridiculed primarily for this reason. But we have to understand, Joe has to understand, that just because certain beliefs are difficult to topple, this does not automatically mean that this is the reason why Graham Hancock's ideas are not accepted. As a viewer, I encourage you to consider the possibility that maybe Hancock thinks his ideas have more merit than they actually do.
But what a fascinating area of research to not challenge the paradigm, an area where you have so little information about what could have possibly happened. When you get back to 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, 7,000 years ago, and you're trying to piece these puzzles together, to pretend that you have the entire timeline, it seems a little silly.
It's pretty crazy. This is the thing with history, where you have written documents that you can draw upon, where you have those written documents, you can be reasonably certain about what's going on. The further back we go, we don't have the written documents. Beyond 5,000 years, we have no written documents. And to draw fixed and firm conclusions about what happened before 5,000 years ago on the basis of a few things dug out of the ground, it's not good enough.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
But it is good enough to believe when you have no evidence. He's saying it's not right, just have a few things in the ground and then assume you know things. Graham, I don't disagree, but wouldn't it be even worse if some dumb fuck just said, well, I have no evidence in the ground or anywhere, but I have this theory. And then for 30 years, as new stuff keep getting found, oh, no evidence of mine. Oh, it's only hunter-gatherers and not advanced culture. Well, I expected hunter-gatherers. Like, why don't you ever expect that we're going to find anything that supports your thing?
That's exactly right. Like, I think he's making like one of those logical fallacies that we talked about on other episodes or earlier in this one, like where he's equating like incomplete evidence with being completely wrong, and therefore he can insert his theories and beliefs
with no evidence. And somehow that's completely right. I mean, even by his own logic, that is ridiculous. Anyways,
that's right. Yeah,
I just had to make that point. It's like, so he agrees that only making assumptions, big assumptions from little evidence is not good enough, but it is good enough to make assumptions that are even bigger with no evidence.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
What the? Even he agrees that's not good enough. You know what? Guess what? It's worse is when someone says they have this whole idea and there's no evidence. That's worse, Graham Hancock.
This is the trouble with like, and initially I didn't always think this, but the superficial education on logic that like a lot of internet people kind of got when they got taught about logical fallacies.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. Like they can see it in other people, but they refuse to look inward and see it in themselves.
He needs to look in the mirror or pretty much just say all those statements to yourself.
That's right. Exactly. Stop drawing conclusions based on no evidence.
Right? And sticking to them no matter what, even though no evidence supports it. Like,
yeah.
What?
And identifying with them and thinking that it's a personal attack when people criticize those ideas.
Yeah. The whole thing is just a freaking intellectual honesty, game show or something. He's winning.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What a jackass.
Right? Now you're getting it. Wow. Maybe it's good, Damien, to finally addressing this guy. Right?
Yeah.
All this time I've been talking shit and saying stuff. But like I said, too, the archaeologists want to address the archaeology. I did address some of the archaeology stuff as well from my perspective, especially the DNA, why he's wrong.
Yeah.
But I explain it. But I felt like, yeah, but even the archaeologists are doing that. That's not, people need to get what he's doing. I don't care if you don't know the fact. He's wrong. This is this is self-contradictory. That's
right.
Fuck, if you care about thinking, reason, logic, skepticism, rationalism, whatever, it's science, you should be against all this. This is terrible.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's millionaires and all these people support him, he has like a whole fan club of, which we're going to use Corey's term, the Hancockers.
Yeah.
They like to call themselves alt, or whatever, history or
alternative archaeology or whatever.
Yeah. No, it's the old pseudoscience and pseudoarchaeology is not special.
Yeah, no kidding.
No. All right, let's keep going. Let's hear some more of this foolishness.
It's a mistake that's being made, and that I believe is going to change. It's going to be painful. It's going to be slow. It was painful to change the Ptolemaic system to the Copernican system, but it will happen. The system will change.
There are other kinds of documents besides written documents. All material remains are documents of a kind. And those are the kinds of documents archaeologists, anthropologists, and geologists study. But notice here how confident that Hancock is that there is going to be a paradigm shift, similar in some way to the change from the Ptolemaic system to the Copernican system. From what I can gather, the paradigm shift he is referring to is specifically one that takes into account the existence of his lost civilization. So I guess that would make him Copernicus.
This is how paradigms shift. I mean, everybody's familiar with the concept of a paradigm shift. And there's a book called The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by Thomas Kuhn, which outlines what a paradigm shift is, where an established model in some discipline of science that has been in control of people's thinking for a very long time suddenly falls apart. And it doesn't fall apart suddenly. What happens is that there's an accumulation of evidence which that model cannot explain. That paradigm cannot explain it. It seemed like a great paradigm at one point.
This is from the jerk off that says he has no evidence.
Yeah.
How exactly will this ever occur, this paradigm shift, if you said it requires, as you even said, a lot of evidence when you have none?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He has no evidence to support his perspective, and yet he thinks that the accumulation of all this non-evidence is going to do a paradigm shift.
And then become somehow evidence, which
Yeah, doesn't work. That doesn't make any sense.
no.
Yeah.
The only one I've heard it arrogant is Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
Seriously arrogant. And once again, let's highlight with the no evidence position.
Yeah. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
Point, but then it doesn't explain this, and then it doesn't explain like.
Thomas Kuhn's book has had considerable effect on popular culture, and Hancock is feeding off of it. In his book, Kuhn says that most scientific activity takes place within paradigms, and these paradigms define what questions are studied, what criteria are used to answer these questions, and what experiments are considered acceptable when making evaluations. However, from time to time, revolutions occur. These are periods when the paradigm changes. Examples of revolutions might be when Galileo and Copernicus overthrew the paradigm set by Aristotle, or when Einstein overthrew the paradigm set by Newton. They don't happen often. When Hancock is talking about overthrowing the paradigm, he is simply talking about a certain model that archaeologists, anthropologists, and historians, and geologists, and geneticists have about the development of human civilization. It's not really about redefining archaeology.
Like the paradigm that says that megalithic architecture is only 6,000 years old and that the first megalithic architecture was in Malta, that can't explain the massive megalithic site of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey 5,500 years before that. It's evidence like that, the slow accumulation of evidence that the existing system cannot explain, that at an eventual point, no matter how strongly the advocates of the existing system hold on to it, no matter how determined they are in their defense, no matter what dirty tricks they may choose to deploy to undermine their
dirty tricks. Talk about fallacies.
Yeah, he's got to insert that, right?
Yeah, dirty tricks. Archaeology, by teaching the facts of science and history, is doing dirty tricks. The only one I see doing dirty tricks, Graham Hancock, is Graham Hancock.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is intellectually dishonest, dirty tricks constantly.
Yep.
Opponents, sooner or later, the evidence overwhelms them and the paradigm goes down and you have a new way of thinking.
He says there was a paradigm that said that megalithic architecture is only 6,000 years old. There was never a paradigm that said that. All that was said was that our earliest known megalithic architecture is from that time. There was no statement that it could not possibly be older. It was simply a statement about the extent of our knowledge at the time.
Have you had any archaeologists review any of this work and change their opinions?
No.
No.
I haven't.
Enough said. Get off the show. You're done.
Right? Ta-da! Yeah, thank you for playing.
You are finished, sir.
But that goes back to the original quote.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Which the original quote, which I'll go ahead and just read again because it's so good. In what archaeologists have studied, yes, we can say there is no evidence of advanced civilization.
The end.
So,
yeah.
Look at his smugness. Just look at his fucking face. Dude,
yeah.
I have no evidence. Yeah. While you con the world and the guys believing that archaeologists are doing something wrong because your no evidence is somehow threatening them.
Bizarre. Yeah. No good.
Yeah. Horrid. Keep going.
But what I have found, and I found it interestingly during the research trips for America before, is a younger generation of archaeologists who are in the field. And they are quite different from the older generation of archaeologists who were running the whole scene 25 years ago.
Of course.
Now we have a very different younger generation, a younger generation that has been exposed to open-minded thinking, that has been exposed to the internet, that itself, as part of the general pattern of the younger generation, is suspicious of authority.
The reason why Hancock has not been able...
before he finishes his point. I want to address the younger generation. So we had an archaeologist from John Hoops, the older generation, as he wants to call it.
Right.
And we've had the younger generation archaeologists. We had Jeffrey, who is
Right.
just getting his doctorate or whatever in archaeology. So he's just starting to teach. So he's just at the beginning, right? So we've literally had both. You know what? They both are debunking you. They both say you're wrong. A little bit different in how they approach it, but they both say you're wrong. They're not somehow at war like the younger archaeologists and the older.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
So I'm just bringing that point.
For sure.
Able to get any archaeologist to change their opinions is because the evidence he has presented is insufficient to have any effect. I do agree, however, that the slow accumulation of evidence can overturn entrenched ideas over time. But in this case, that hasn't even come close to happening.
Get so puzzled and baffled by the resistance to it because it's just interesting.
Well, if it's right, it pulls the rug out completely from under the feet of archaeology. And that's why there's resistance to it. All human beings are territorial in their own way. And archaeologists are no exception.
I'm sorry, I got it. Joe, he's just like, I just don't know why they're resistant, because it's so interesting. No, because there's no evidence, man. Like, come the fuck on. Just doesn't think.
No, he totally doesn't. And he's like a sycophant for what Graham Hancock says. You can see he like worships him like a damn guru.
Right.
Dude, he's a common liar or intellectually dishonest at least.
Yeah. He's had him on, it's got to be easily a dozen different episodes now, right? Like,
yeah, he's probably been on like 50, 80 times or whatever, you know? Yeah, but where's all the archaeologists to get to debunk him? It reminded me, I went to this one skeptic thing in Seattle, and I went for like maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. And it wasn't too bad, but then they told me they were going to bring a person on that was going to explain how they do ghost hunting. And I said, what the fuck? You're going to have that shit coming here? What do we have, homeopathy training next?
Right.
I'm like, I thought this was skeptics. You're like, well, we're going to hear their ideas and then we'll, you know. I'm like, okay, fine. That's gross, but okay. Then the next week, can I come on and then explain why ghost hunting is nonsense?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
And then you can evaluate my position as well? Oh, but that'll be confrontational. I said, I'm coming the week after. You're presenting 2 different ideas. You guys are going to be skeptic, and you can decide who sounds more reasonable. How is this not skepticism? And he goes, oh, we don't do confrontational. I said, you know what? I'm not coming back. You obviously don't think in the way that I like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, ghosts are nonsense, but
right. Right. So don't you agree that me saying, well, that I should be able to have fair time to explain why it's absolute bullshit? Scientists has already created ghost experiences, both auditory and sensational, in the lab by doing stuff to the brain.
Yeah.
They can create the sensation of ghosts and out-of-body experience, all kind of, because the brain is a trippy fucking thing. It's like when you take drugs, right? You feel, yeah, you can trip yourself out. Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't make it that real things happen. Supernatural's still fake.
Exactly.
I'm just, go ahead. Yeah. But I'm glad, though, that you're getting more into my anger of why we don't like this guy. Like, why it's like I take this as a personal attack.
Right. Yeah,
because you're attacking science. You're attacking freaking reason and logic and fuck.
Yeah.
Exception. They're territorial. They've defined their territory. They see a gradual, slow, steady evolution of human society. And they think that we were at a relatively simple stage during the so-called Stone Age, and we just gradually got more and more sophisticated. It's an appealing idea, and it makes sense in lots of ways, but there isn't room in that.
It makes sense in lots of ways because that's like because they followed the evidence. They didn't just fucking make it up whole cloth.
And this is coming, we always need to remember, this is coming from the person that admits he has no evidence.
Yeah, that's right. Like, it makes sense in a lot of ways. Well, yeah, the fuck it does. Like, come on, guy.
And it wouldn't make sense without evidence, like your theories.
Exactly. It wouldn't make sense in a lot of ways if it didn't have anything backing it up.
Exactly, right. Why that's not more clear? You get what I'm saying? That in a sense, it is good for the archaeologists and even for me. I put it in the blog, information of archaeology, why he's wrong. Like I feel like we can prove it more than the archaeologists seem more like we don't know. I'm like, I feel like we do, and he's wrong as fuck.
Yeah.
So, but I felt like I told you, I really want to address, because he's a con man to me or whatever. He's intellectually dishonest as fuck. If you don't get that, all the other stuff doesn't even matter. Look at what he's doing. That's why I asked you, look at what he's doing. You don't even have to know archaeologists. He's literally not being an honest thinker.
Yeah, for sure.
For an earlier civilization to have emerged and been destroyed. And that's why the idea is attacked. Because if that idea were true, then the foundations on which archaeology has built the house of history would collapse.
2 observations about this. First, the idea that archaeologists are territorial. Academics have been working hard to make all of their research open source so that everyone can have access to it. It's not the academics who make it hard for people to find the research, it's the publishing companies. And amateurs help archaeologists all the time. Amateurs have even made great discoveries. Amateurs have proposed ideas that archaeologists have followed up on. Archaeologists interact with the public online, and members of the public feed them ideas. The intellectual value of Hancock's words are determined by their content, not by who is speaking them, much less by his diploma. People don't seem to realize this, but you don't need to have a higher degree to get your ideas published in a peer-reviewed academic journal. Your credentials aren't the deciding factor. What makes a paper get accepted into a journal is its level of scholarship. If you follow proper scholarly and scientific methods, and your conclusions are empirically drawn, you can get published. You don't have to belong to a group of elites. Graham Hancock himself could have taken this avenue, but this would require that he dot all his I's and cross all his T's, and he doesn't want to do that. He keeps saying that he's just proposing possibilities, but these proposals include telling people that archaeologists are wrong and that he is leading the charge to overthrow their house of history. Now let's talk about that. Would the foundations on which archaeology has built the house of history collapse if a lost advanced civilization were found? Lost civilizations have been found before. They continue to be found. And what happens? They get added to the timeline of history. Archaeologists uncovered Göbekli Tepe. They added it to the timeline. If a civilization was found earlier, it too would get added to the timeline. So what foundation is he talking about? The foundation that he described earlier, that there was a slow, gradual rise of progress? There is no such foundation. The reason why the timeline looks as it currently does, and this can't be emphasized enough, is because you lay out all of the things that have been found, placing them in the timeline according to scientific dating methods, not according to where you want to put them.
Yeah.
And when you see them all laid out like that, that's what the timeline looks like.
Pause for
So
a
if you
second.
find some,
And that's literally how I have come up with my ideas. I deliberately, have you ever seen, I have a list, like a bunch of links. They're all blogs. And I've done blogs from the million years ago all the way down every single time, on the timeline, blog for every single one.
Yeah.
And it's me putting it in that line that I started to go, now it's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is the trouble, because Hancock, he accuses them of doing the thing that he's doing.
Totally.
He made it up, and he's looking for evidence to fit it, and he thinks that that's what they did.
Please
Because
don't
he
say
doesn't
you made it
understand.
up. Sorry, one thing.
No,
though.
yeah.
Remember,
He
100
copied
years
it.
ago, a racist made it for political and racist reasons, and then Graham Hancock went, because his implicit bias and racism, he went, What
I like this
idea. I totally agree with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
White people taught everyone everything.
Yeah, he likes it. So he's looking for confirmation.
Confirmation bias. Yeah.
Yeah. And like that's the opposite of what science and archaeologists do. So
yeah. Why are they never going to accept you? Because they don't accept confirmation bias as evidence.
Yeah, that's right. So he has to claim that that's what they're doing, because that puts them on an equal footing with him. Where
but he wants them below him somehow. He has no original ideas because he stole them from, in a sense, or used them, or whatever you want to call it, or matches them if he feels he came up with it. Yeah. So he has these ideas about Atlantis, ridiculous as hell, because Atlantis is not true, and even it's an allegory. It's used to show, look at how this shit place went bad. Look at how great Athens is, or something, whatever.
Right.
It's almost bigoted in its presentation.
Yeah.
Right. It's ethnocentric or whatever. Oh, those people, we're better, in a sense, sort of like better republic is ours. My point is, I'm saying, so in a sense, the whole story never was unbigoted.
Yeah.
Atlantis is a bigoted theme that then they just made it more bigoted and racist. Good job. Sounds like what racists would do.
Right.
And then, of course, Graham Hancock, the forever not racist, and of course doesn't have implicit bias or racism, reads racist ideas from the past that have been debunked and goes, wow, that's it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, don't call me a racist. Yeah.
Absurd.
Don't call me a Nazi, but that Hitler dude, hey, I like all his ideas. Yeah. You're a Nazi.
Exactly. That's Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Well, Donald Trump is a fucking Nazi. Yes, I totally agree. That's why I told you, even though I find it horrid to think of voting for Biden, I also find it even more horrid the thought of Trump and Nazis taking over America.
Yeah.
Like I said, this time is just ugly as fuck.
It's a rough time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just thinking too, there's two things going on. Speaking to go back real quick on Israel. So finally, Biden says sending currently 2,000-pound bombs may not be a good idea.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
2,000-pound bombs for what exactly? Like what?
Yeah.
So he actually comes to the conclusion that don't send them because maybe they're going to be used. I don't know, dickhead. Have you never thought of that with all the other ones that have been used and all the buildings and thousands of people dying? Yeah. You just currently woke up and said, oh my God, they might use these 2,000-pound bombs to kill people like they've been doing with those 2,000-pound bombs that we keep sending.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I do agree when people say that Biden is basically a war criminal. Israelis are doing war crimes. We are actively supporting, facilitating this happening. Yeah. It's fucked up. And so how fucked up do you think I feel that still is a better choice than Donald Trump? Fuck, that's a nightmare. It's like fucking nightmare or fucking serious nightmare. It's like, oh, why do we have any nightmares? Fuck.
Yeah, it's not a good choice either way.
It's not a choice. It's fucked.
No, not really. No. And it's completely fucked.
It's fucked. But then again, to me, also, people need to grasp that really Donald Trump and Joe Biden aren't that different. Just like they both worship at the throne of Israel.
Yeah.
Ridiculously. Not like
foreign affairs, they're fundamentally the same, right?
Yeah. Well, they're both supporting Israel isn't it crazy too? Just imagine he again, even after denying the bombs, right? So some part you're admitting they're doing some killing. right? Some part
Yeah.
in your, and then at the same time you say, we are 100% steadfast. Nothing has changed. We're behind the state of Israel.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How can that possibly be when you have now even realized we can't send the bombs because they're going to kill children? If you realize that, then how could you support that in any way, whether they use your bombs or not?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. I want to do a video that just talks about the Israel thing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like this though. It's more the people absolutely just spouting bullshit.
Yeah.
It's fucking gross. And it's even grosser when they try to somehow get some moral position when they are doing immoral things. You don't have a moral position. I'm sorry. The fuck?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Something new, you scientifically date it, and then you just add it. That's it. Now, to be fair to Graham Hancock, I should point out that he does, on occasion, on rare occasion, temper his words against archaeologists somewhat by giving them some credit. This doesn't happen that often, but he made a point to say this, and I should include this to be fair to him.
I'd like to say on the record, I don't hate archaeologists. I know that there's a lot of great work that's done by archaeologists. I myself could not do the work I do were it not for the work that archaeologists have done out there in the field.
Yeah, no. Making up lies is not doing work. No.
Yeah, no, that's right. What work? Ridiculous.
Painstakingly digging and producing evidence. I have huge respect for archaeologists. I think there's a very limited group within archaeology who have this domineer mentality and who seek to control the narrative. But by and large, archaeology is doing a good and a useful thing. And I don't want. It's unfortunate that I've been identified as a hate figure by a number of archaeologists. I think there's much more potential for cooperation.
After hearing what he has said about archaeologists in various interviews, do you think the belief that he is a hate figure comes out of left field? I can understand why someone would think that about him. Also, do you notice how here he is saying that it is a limited group within archaeology that have this domineering mentality he has been talking about? And yet before, he painted archaeology with a very broad brush, saying archaeologists are this way. All this time, he hasn't been saying some archaeologists. So when people hear him make these accusations, if they don't catch this rare caveat, they would never get the impression that he doesn't mean archaeologists in general or archaeology as a field. And if only a limited group of archaeologists have this bad attitude, how are they able to control all the other archaeologists? Archaeology is a very decentralized discipline. There's no Pope of archaeology. There isn't an archaeological college of cardinals. Archaeologists are largely independent and have great academic freedom. They come from every corner of the world, from various ethnicities, countries, religions, political persuasions. So where is this limited group operating from? What are their names? How are they making dictates from on high?
A lot of archaeologists have accused me of accusing them of a conspiracy against me and trying to suppress.
Well, they're just trying to make you look like a kook.
Yeah, I don't see any conspiracy. I see people who do believe what they're saying and who think I'm wrong, but who feel that I'm such a threat to the narrative that they present that I must be neutralized in any way possible. And that's a sad state of affairs. Science should embrace and explore new and different ideas, and particularly when it comes to the human past.
So he makes a point to say that he does not believe in a grand conspiracy in archaeology. The sins of archaeologists are simply the result of common biases intrinsic to humans. Okay, that seems fairly reasonable. But at other times, and this is another two-sided aspect of Hancock, he makes it sound like there is a conspiracy.
It certainly led me to conclude that academic history is part of a, this sounds a bit paranoid, but part of an overall system of kind of mind control that operates. There are certain things that we're allowed to think and certain parameters that we're allowed to think within in our society. And when it comes to the past,
look
those
how it's
parameters
142, right? And Joe Rogan, now they're at 2,000 something. This
Yeah.
dude has been thick as thieves within the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Over like you say, the whole 2,000 episodes.
Just saying. I mean, this guy has been. So I mean, it just shows. Like, look at how he's gotten to totally slander archaeology all the time, and make it sound like he's the hero.
Yeah. No, that's right. Not good.
Set by academics, and they get so territorial and so defensive when you try to break out of that.
Something else, although this sounds a bit conspiratorial, I think the existing view of history is part of a mind control system in our society. It's something that we're presented with, that we take in with our mother's milk, and we're never supposed to question. I think it's, if you control the past, you do actually control the present and the future as well.
So, but you mean if you have an absolutely established narrative that you're teaching and you're unwilling to look at any possible variations to that, you're saying, like, almost from an authority position, we know what happened and we know where we're going.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
if you say, shit, we don't know what happened,
Yeah.
then it's, well, then who are you to tell us where we're going?
Exactly. And
Okay.
it starts to raise questions over everything, actually.
Right.
That last sentence is interesting. Hancock assumes it is true that the teachers of academic history are authority figures who are trying to control people's minds. And then he builds on that foundation, saying, hey, if they're lying to us, who else is lying to us? Shouldn't we establish the truth of the first claim before?
I'm sorry. There is a merit to the skepticism towards the mainstream historical view. Like US has been teaching the incorrect version of history for a long time to its people. That's why they're anti-communist. That's why they don't accept, like, they don't it's taken so long to acknowledge the indigenous populations.
Or
Right.
like this currently, they want to vote to say that from the river to sea is only anti-Semitic, not say,
Right.
well, when the Jews in Israel does it, well, then it's anti-Palestinian at least. But no,
Yeah.
it's only one-sided because they're blind and they don't teach history. But that's a different issue. Once again, he's mixing
Yeah.
different issues in, and I guess somehow that anything that's wrong politically supports his position.
Right, exactly. Like he wants to pretend that, like, he's questioning the archaeology paradigm or what have you, and that means that, like, his perspective is correct when really his perspective supports the American status quo or the colonizer status quo.
True. Yeah. In fact, it has from the beginning. That's what the book we're going to read, where they thought all the mounds in the United States were actually built by ancient white people that were wiped out by this later band of brown people. And so that actually talks about in that mound book, the myth of the great white race.
Yeah.
That they believed that basically the Native Americans were interlopers, and so taking their land back for the white people was a duty. It was, divine providence even.
Right.
So, but that's why these ideas support that kind of nonsense. Like you said, literally the 100-year colonial idea, that's the one you're supporting, which that paradigm got broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're still trying to say that paradigm that already has been broken is somehow going to break the new one? I mean,
trying to bring it back.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. Okay, so colonization was a good thing to you, I'm guessing? Yeah. You seem to favor those ideas.
Yeah, that's right.
Or jumping to further conclusions?
If I get in an airplane, I do want the pilot to be a properly qualified pilot. I want him to have undergone all the training and to be really good at what he does. But flying an airplane and studying the human past are two different things. And archaeologists often compare themselves to airline pilots. They say, you wouldn't get in an airplane without a properly trained pilot. So why are you studying the past without a properly trained archaeologist? And what I say is,
but you know that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I've literally had archaeologists on my show. I do not have any training except, well, I guess if you can say my one or two religious classes where they taught about religious stuff and the Bible, and they mentioned some archaeology, which is like was some of the stuff that actually impressed me. The Bible was bullshit, and to become an atheist, right? So other than that little tiny bit of 2 classes, religious study classes, was like the only sort of history archaeology thing that I have. I have a psychology degree with some sociology and a little bit of teaching, and dealing with actually like criminal behavior and delinquency in children, because I had personal stuff, and so I wanted to get into helping kids, so I started learning about that. Anyways, my point is certainly not all this archaeology and history stuff I know, all this anthropology stuff we're going to talk about, and I know all this, whatever DNA stuff I talk about, language stuff I talk about, right?
Yeah.
Which of them said I don't have a right to do it?
Not a one.
Not one, right? In fact, they think it's pretty cool that I'm interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
It's literally lying. We're going to go ahead and stop. There's more. People should watch the rest of the thing. Because I don't want to. We have 3 hours. I don't want to make this super long. He's not important. I think we've already established. It keeps going. It doesn't get better. Believe me.
I don't.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not like if you watch the rest, Graham Hancock sounds better.
Suddenly he's gonna start sounding smarter. Yeah.
Or have somehow evidence, but he's already admitted he doesn't have from the beginning. Yeah. So whole argument. So, anyways, I feel good. Don't you feel good that we've kind of at least did a kink in his armor of bullshit?
Yeah. Yeah. It was. I think it was a good episode. Yeah. It annoys me that guys like this use language that could be used by those of us who try to attack the status quo. I find that very frustrating, and I find it undermines our movements and our goals. But
like I told you, a leftist said to me, Graham Hancock proves we don't have to trust science. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
He does not prove fucking nothing.
No.
Anyway, so I felt that it was important that we address this and also bring in not just the archaeology issue, but this is really also to me like a political and leftist and history in general. The right always is trying to make up bullshit about history to it somehow supports their nonsense. The Nazis did it too. They have the pseudo history. Yep. Whole departments promoted that shit. So, anyways, I thought this kind of goes together, and just as a reasoned logic, no one should let that get past them. What he's done, no evidence, talks all kind of shit. 30 years, never changes ideas. Yeah. What? Yeah, ridiculous, and then some. Ta-da! You win the prize for bullshit.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, like I said, but I really wanted to address it from sort of our take on it, and I appreciate you helping him. Sorry you had to watch his stuff. I'm
yeah,
I'm sure that counseling will slowly get over that.
Yeah, I'll work through the trauma.
Yes. So anyways, next week we're going to do From the River to the Sea and explain, history of that and why it's wrong to just throw this one-way, narrative. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to address that and where the history of where it comes from and talk about that, because I feel like it's really bullshit to just call that flat out anti-Semitism when Zionists use it. What is it then? Yeah. So go ahead. And, thank you for doing the show, and go ahead and tell everybody, where to find you and your stuff and all that. And then
I guess I got my website there, skepticalleftist.com. I haven't been updating it because nobody goes there anyway, but you can follow me on social media. I'm Skeptical Lefty or at Skeptical Leftist pretty much everywhere.
Right on. Well, I appreciate everyone, lasting to the end of this video, and take care and just use reason and logic, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's right.
Even if you don't know, listen to how it's being presented. You know that. Does it have the coherence, theory of truth?
Right.
Reliability. If it doesn't even internally, why the fuck do you even listen to this fucking fool?
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of ways to figure out that he's full of shit without having the full knowledge of what he's talking about.
Exactly. So, all right. Well,
All right.
take care. Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Damien Marie AtHope. In the simplest terms, I am an atheist humanist philosopher and prehistorical writer researcher at DamienMarieAtHope.com. I am specifically an axiological atheist. An axiological atheism can be thought to involve ethical and value theory reasoned and moral argument driven apatheism, agnosticism, atheism, anti-theism, anti-religionism, secularism, and humanism. Axiological atheists can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. As an axiological atheism's ethically reasoned and constructive pro-humanity. I am an axiological thinker, value theorist. The science of goodness, worthiness, usefulness, valuableness, virtue, reliableness, accuracy, validity, morality, integrity, beneficialness, etc., etc. We axiologists have a value consciousness. And in general, we see the architecture of humanistic humanitarianism value in people that we see as dignity beings. Places and things are not. Axiology is a value theory. In its broadest sense, it involves areas of philosophy that are deemed to encompass some evaluative or evaluation aspect. Therefore, it crosses almost all domains in some way or another. Now for a more detailed terms as to what I am. I am an axiological atheist, an anti-theist, an anti-religionist, secularist, humanist, rationalist, writer, artist, poet, philosopher, advocate, activist with schooling in psychology, sociology, as well as I am an autodidact, self-taught in science, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy. I promote science and am against pseudoscience, pseudohistory, pseudomorality, things that are found in religion.